Yeah, sick. Okay, yeah. So the whole idea was just to because I personally feel like gamer standards are pretty low because they'll eat anything and they'll consume anything. So it's like I have very high standards when it comes to any game. I don't care if the graphics are insane, whatever. I have a huge because I've played so many good games. Now my expectations are kind of higher almost. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't be overboard. Like I shouldn't go overboard where I say, well, this game got to do everything perfect. No, but I feel like there's a standard though, like where I want a game to be very good. And first for me, gameplay wise, of course, it must be good. Like I must have fun. Game must keep my attention going with gameplay wise. Of course, the rest, story and stuff like that could be cool, but first is gameplay. But what do you guys think? Like, do you guys agree with me? Is it like, gamers standards are low, or is it just me that's overreacting with that?
There are a lot of factors to keep in mind. So first of all, we are from a different era of where when we started gaming in general. So
Yeah.
I mean, I can speak for all of us that we started like the 360 year to be like to consider ourselves to be gamers.
Well, I started with PS2 and like N64 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I've done that old.
Yeah, I was more like an RTS fan back in the day. Then
Yeah.
I switched to the the 360 era. To I was mostly PC, but I did play a couple of Xbox games.
Yeah.
I think that's also the same when it comes to this kind of where we started. So we saw a lot of games that made a lot of changes.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say there were games that copied of each other, but most of the time the games were really had their own they want to be different from each other.
Yes, and I can say that about the PlayStation 2. Most games, and I know people would say, well, that's when they were starting new, and that's good because most games back then there was nothing like it. Like if we even mention anything from PS2 time, like for example, I don't know, God of War or something. There was no games like that like at that time. So as soon as at least from my knowing, as soon as that game came out, that was something fresh and new, at least for everyone that played on the PlayStation 2. So for me, I've already played those games. Now question is, what could I don't know, just I guess my standards are already high when it comes to that. I'm not really sure, but
I would also want to talk about you mentioned God of War. I would also like to mention Dead Space, because both of those games took heavy inspiration of two other games. Dead Space took a lot of inspiration from Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
God of War took a lot of inspiration of the Devil May Cry games.
True.
Yeah, so it's not just when I meant like people copied ideas of other games, I didn't mean like they just copied the same mechanics, the same
maybe the same idea per se.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could say that, but it's like the core of the game it's basically the same, but it's vastly different when it comes to the setting, how other mechanics work.
Yeah, because I would say it's a genre thing. I wouldn't say it's like a almost copying like for one-to-one, but I would say it's like a genre. Like it's a hack and slash thing. Like God of War and Devil May Cry are hack and slashes.
Yeah. But nowadays, I have this feeling that games, or not games, but the devs themselves are like copying of each other. Like, for example, when The Witcher 3 got hyped up. Everyone is like loving this game. I just will say this: I do not love it. I saw the flaws back in the day when the game launched. I was like 15 years old, and I did enjoy my time with it, but some other things I didn't. For example, the open world is terrible. You could say, oh, the quests are great and all, but
would you say it's mediocre though? Like it's a mediocre game?
I would say it's overrated. I know a lot of people will get upset over this, but this opinion of mine, I know, I would say it's a fact, but yeah, I do understand why people have why they would include in the top 10 best games of all time. I do understand why people see this, but as someone who played the previous Witcher games, Witcher 1 and Witcher 2, I was disappointed overall when it comes to certain characters, story, and how factions basically worked. Also, the world building I felt like was a bit, terrible. No, not terrible, but it didn't make sense when you came from Witcher 2 to Witcher 3. I mean, I would need to talk about this in a specific video about Witcher 3, but right now it's about games. But in general speaking, when Witcher 3 was released, a lot of devs copied the idea of Witcher 3.
What did they copy though? Is it the gameplay or something? What did they copy?
Okay, for example, let's take Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
Assassin's Creed was already like not an open world. It was more like, okay, you had like your open world area, but you
I took Assassin's Creed as sections though, like section of gameplay.
Yeah, I wanted to say you unlocked areas later on when you do the main mission. You do the main mission. But when they released Assassin's Creed Origins, they wanted to have like this, the combat. They want to copy a lot of Witcher 3's combat for some reason. I do not think that Witcher 3's combat is great. I think it's really mediocre. Then they tried to copy the open world in the same way. Like for example, this is how Assassin's Creed worked. Back in the day, it was like you had your gadgets, your quick blade, your hidden blade, and you could if you play in a clever way. I mean, I think right now about Assassin's Creed 2 and the other Assassin's Creed games afterwards were like, you killed one NPC and then you had like a one-shot combo attack where you could just chain kill NPCs. But in the Assassin's Creed it was like, you need to play a bit more intelligent.
But it was okay. Maybe we shouldn't go too deep.
But what I want to say is like, okay, we have like now in Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla, that was like, you need to the enemies have like levels that was just annoying. That was this was our problem with Witcher 3. Everyone was like a bullet sponge.
So as you level up in Witcher 3, the enemies leveled up? Is that how it was?
Sometimes they did. But as far as I know, certain areas of the game are a specific level. Like, if you try to go into the DLC areas, like say you're playing the vanilla game, and you to the DLC regions, then you're going to come across enemies that are over like level 40. And you're not supposed to go into that area because obviously it's a DLC area, but there's also other areas on the maps where even if you're just normally exploring, you'll just come across higher leveled enemies. Like, you'll even come across, like, just imagine this situation. You have a monster that's your level, but you see a bandit that's like 20 levels above you.
Okay.
There's ridiculous situations like that. It's the level scaling of some of these role-playing games, well, quote-unquote role-playing games, they're just overdone at this point. I mean, even today, they're still used.
I think from what I heard, from what you guys saying, it seemed almost Skyrim-y to me. Like, because Skyrim had that almost like that same type of mechanic where the player couldn't level up. Well, they could, but the enemies would level up too. So it's like you couldn't really win. There's almost you level up, they level up at the same time, so you couldn't feel powerful almost. Like it was almost okay. Well, I'm just doing the same damage I was doing, even though I was at level 1.
I mean, to be honest, Skyrim did kind of fix the level scaling of enemies. It was really bad in Oblivion, the previous game. That was really bad. Where bandits had like demonic armor sets, which is just ridiculous. random bandits on the road had like the highest set of armor. But they kind of fixed this in Skyrim, but should go back to the topic. So basically, the copying of games, like afterwards we had like those 3 Assassin's Creed games. Then they wanted to go back to the formula of the old Assassin's Creed games with Mirage. It also failed because it didn't really capture the old feeling of the game. I mostly think about the Ezio trilogy and Assassin's Creed 3 and 4.
Okay, well, when I mean like mediocre, I'm talking like the game just it doesn't hold my attention until like maybe it starts off okay, but then the mechanics stay the same throughout the whole game, and I just until the middle part, and I just give up. Like I'll give an example, like I don't know, the new game that just came out with was it the Star Wars game? I forgot the name. Jedi Survivor. No, the other one. Jedi Fallen Order. Whichever one that was the recent one. That game mechanics are just God of War Ragnarok mixed with Souls. And I think, I don't know, maybe it is overdone. I'm not sure, but it just doesn't feel new or refreshing or good to me. But people like that type of gameplay. Like it's done everywhere. God of War has it. All these new Souls, like you see, are technically kind of the same as that. They might tweak a few animations, but it's the same thing. You have red moves, you have blue moves, you have moves you can't counter, and you have moves you have to, click the dodge button. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of the same each game. Like I don't think anything. Ever since Souls, I know I'm bringing Souls, but that's the only one I can think of. But ever since Souls done the iframe dodge thing, they tried to innovate on it a little bit, maybe. But I don't think it's an innovation. I just think it's just it's more child friendly almost, because that's why you have the red move and blue move, or you have this move that you can never counter or you can never stun the enemy from, and then you have moves you can do that too. So it's like kind of the same all the time, I think. And that's what I meant about like gameplay wise. That's what I meant, like that. Like I think that's where we're at now.
So the problem, I would say, is not the gameplay itself, but the pacing of the game. Just look at the marketing of most modern games. They always advertise the length or how big the game is. Like, I don't know. I remember when Dying Light 2 got like announced, and then later on they advertised the storytelling with Chris Avalon being the head writer of this, before he was fired because of the controversy that were not. I will not go on this, but But, afterwards they were all like, oh guys, we have like 500 hours of content where you can go around and pick up items and other Easter eggs, not Easter eggs, but you could just invest 500 hours by just wasting your time, basically. I mean, people back in the day even said this was like, what the hell is this? Why would you advertise this, like telling people to waste their time? But honestly, they were honest about this, because most of the time you see the marketing team saying like, oh, this game is massive and you can invest a lot of hours in playing the game,
Mm-hmm.
they do not tell you what kind of gameplay you can interact with. Like, is this like combat? Is this like fighting bosses? Is this like challenge runs, something like that? No, it's most of the time picking flowers, going through the same dungeons, basically.
Yep.
copy-paste
Over and over.
dungeons.
Yep.
And the thing I really like in games is replayability and games being more short, but you have more choices you can do. So you get if you replay the game, you can choose other options. Like I don't know, you want to pick this faction, or you want
Fallout New Vegas is an example.
yeah, Fallout New Vegas is a great example of this. And then you have like the problem of like pacing. Pacing is a huge problem. You stretch too much, you make the game way too big. It's just busy work at this point. You don't want to have this feeling in your head, like while playing a game, that you feel like, man, I'm wasting my time with picking flowers, picking items. I mean, yeah, sure, you could say, oh, this item that I think of right now of Elden Ring, because this is the game that everyone loves, everyone likes. But the thing is, you waste so much time on the same dungeons, on the same.
I didn't. I did not. I didn't do that. Yeah. I did not do that. I think it's because I knew that was going to be the case. I didn't waste the time on that. I think because I was asking myself, okay, what made Elden Ring feel better than some of these other games that were open world that came out? Well, I think
it's actually really simple why Elden Ring was beloved while other games were not as beloved. First of all, From Software has a track record of great games. I mean, personally, I do have issues with a couple of games like Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls 2, even with Sekiro, but still good games all around, even great games.
Okay.
But then you have Elden Ring, and then they didn't really change the gameplay formula. They just copied, Dark Souls combat, included a couple of things like power stance from Dark Souls 2. And now that you have like a horse riding, and you cannot jump.
Okay. I don't think we should go that deep into that.
But the thing is, they have copied a lot of things from Dark Souls, combined it with the open world, and then the gameplay is still solid. This gameplay is still solid.
Okay, let me hear from. What do you think? Is it are the gameplays the same? Or is it just, is it an overreaction? What is it anything? Are these games coming out? Are they actually new things they're doing, or is it just me that's like, thinking, okay, well, everything is the same. All these combats are the same, because that's personally what I think and how I feel about most of these games I play now.
Well, we definitely need to go back to, I'd say, one of the biggest inspirations, well, probably not inspiration's the right word, but one of the more common trends in gaming is to copy the Ubisoft formula of open world, and then there's also the grinding feature, which usually was something that was associated with multiplayer games, which is now being forced into single player games.
That's true.
So I think this might be a weird example, but I would say Destiny 1 was kind of really the one game to really push this idea of grinding, like heavy grinding. It really popularized the looter shooter type gameplay systems we have today. Like, obviously there's the trendy color-coded rarities.
Yeah.
Every single game has the exact same ones. Obviously, a few of them do something a little bit different, but they still go with the same formula. And just and especially with Ubisoft's open worlds. Back then, when Ubisoft made these worlds, or like these smaller regions of they usually had some kind of gameplay associated with it. Like with Assassin's Creed, the parkour was the big part of these areas. But now, with The Witcher 3 popularizing these gigantic open worlds, now we have horseback riding. And Assassin's Creed, ever since Origins, has gone with horseback riding being one of the main forms of transportation in that game. And obviously there's also fast travel, but with the older Assassin's Creed games, it was enjoyable to traverse the map because you're in urban areas. But now their majority of the map is just flat terrain, and Ubisoft even bothered to like, oh, maybe the players' fingers are going to hurt after a while, just moving the horse by themselves. So they just punt in a automatic travel. So you just walk from up above, travel, and you just watch the horse. You basically just watch the game play for you.
It's because, well, the thing is, okay, if you're going to make an open world, like you said, the flat lands are probably the majority of the problem, because if you're going to have an open world, I think you would want the player to walk and kind of take in the environment, or watch, like, whatever you created for that world. You would want the player to walk. Like, for example, a game I can probably think of that is probably I don't know, maybe Fallout 3 or something, or Dragon's Dogma 1. Like, these are the games that come in mind. Like, these games, you walk the whole time, or you can fast travel, but you walk most of the time. But what made the player want to walk towards that place over there? Or what made the player want to traverse through all of this, this huge world? It has to be the way it looks and what's there. It's almost like a temptation for the player to come over here. Look how good this place look. Come over here. But when you have this flat land, even they know this is a boring looking land. I'm just gonna put that feature where, okay, it's autopilot, they could just walk through everything. And I don't know, you mentioned Witcher 3. Does Witcher 3 have anything like that, where like the open world looks that good, like where it makes me want to?
To be honest, it barely does. Now obviously there are different regions. Like I think of Velen, and I forgot the city's name.
Novigrad?
Yeah, Novigrad, that region. That's the largest map, I believe, in the game, right next to Skellige. But you'll see a few landmarks, but the landmarks, which they do have their own little stories, but they're mostly just done through notes, and that's even if you bother to read the notes. And there might be like a few enemies, and they're just not as interesting as Fallout per se, because at least with Fallout, there was, at least in my opinion, there's a lot more to interact with in these different locations.
Well, if you take in New Vegas, if you go somewhere, usually, from what I remember from New Vegas, there's usually some type of dialogue or some type of, maybe something you could do, like they could tell you to do or ask you to do. So that would always invite the player.
With the quest.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Witcher 3, it's just you find this chest, and maybe it has some high rarity items in it, or it just has a unique armor set, and that's about it.
Is that the only incentive, or have you been throughout the whole world where you found one where, I don't know, it gave the player, I'm trying to think of something unique where it tells the player, because it's a RPG, correct?
Yeah,
so
it's an action RPG. Yeah.
So it tells the player maybe some very interesting quest or something. Do you remember that, or is it always you see that thing over there? You go there, there's a chest, you open, and you move on.
Basically, that's how it works. There's only like a few locations where there's some kind of, it's not really much of a puzzle. It's just, you kind of got to look around the area. Like, I know there was a drawbridge in Velen, and I think it was just associated with one of the Witcher armor sets, but that's about it.
And And I think that's boring to me. I think that's boring. This is why I think maybe open world is not that great, which I've already talked about before, but I think that's boring.
The
Another
problem
thing
is,
too.
well, you
Sorry,
wanna-
sorry.
No, continue.
Yeah. But just to finish, the game tells you where these points of interest are, and every single other game that's open world usually tells you, oh, hey, there's something here. But
It's literally a Ubisoft formula. But yeah.
it's literally just okay. It's just part of a checklist. Oh, you finish this one, and okay, time to go to the next one, and that's literally it.
And I think maybe it is overdue because fine, you can probably name a Xbox 360 game that had that, whatever. But I think when we got to the PS4 or later on, when we get to the PS4 and then you get to the PS5, I would think at some point this become a mediocre thing. It's not like I would put that in the mediocre category, and it's not good because gamers would think, okay, Witcher 3 best game of all time, but it's doing it has a lot of this very boring and mediocre thing to it. How does that make it a masterpiece, or how does that make it a 10 out of 10, or how does that make it a 9 out of 10 when it has these major problems that that there was stuff like this that's already been done and it's in a bigger world? That's all it's doing. So I don't get how gamers can get hyped about something like that when it's just very mediocre,
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, but it seems like people want to throw around the word masterpiece a lot for these games, mostly because the game does well at one thing, and then people automatically call it a masterpiece while ignoring the rest of the game's flaws. Like with Witcher 3, people say the story is incredible and it's one of the best stories told in gaming. I think it's a little overrated. Overrated. And I'm somebody that did read the books. I delved deep into The Witcher. Not as much anymore, but
yeah.
The fact that they only look at this one thing for the game that they said that it did very well at, they ignore everything else, like every other flaw of the game. It's almost like for a lot of these people.
Yeah. What do you think, Jeff?
So here's the thing: a lot of people didn't play the previous games, so they do not know about the story most of the time. And if they, if they say, I did play the previous games, but I still think that Witcher 3 is still the best of all of them. In what category? In story, in gameplay, overall? Is it overall compared to the other games? Because I know that Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 had like great storytelling, like main story, side quests were great. Like Witcher 3 has like the Baron quest, the Red Baron quest that I can think of that was good.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else, I cannot remember. And the funny thing is, I do remember the Red Baron quest, but it's also another thing. People keep mentioning the Red Baron quest in comment sections when they talk about, oh yeah, I still remember the Baron quest from Witcher 3 to this day. It's like, okay, you remember this quest? Do you remember other quests from Witcher 3? The blank out, like, I don't want to continue about The Witcher because we talk about
but The Witcher and Assassin's Creed are a huge influence in some of these games though. Like most open worlds now seems like Witcher 3 or Assassin's Creed. I can't think of any open world and like from maybe the middle of PS4 to PS5 that had a good open world. I can't think of one. I really can't. Can you guys?
I mean, should we also include like semi-open world? Because the only game that I think of right now that comes from the PS4 is Bloodborne. it's not open world, but it's
No, I would say
semi-open.
it's just linear little spots. I think. No, semi is the right word. Semi is the right word. Yeah.
It's same. I would say it's Dark Souls 1. You know.
But what I would say is that Bloodborne is more of a. I would say it's a linear because they clearly worked on the level design for most areas. So I would say that's a more linear, because linear gives you more time to work on level design. Open world do not. It's just huge place that you go and you roam around. So that's why I would say Bloodborne is kind of like a linear game. I wouldn't say it's open world.
Yeah, but you have also like multiple paths that you can go. But I don't want to continue on that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's more like, yeah.
But for me to move on, like if you look in the 360 days, I have a few games that, you know, kind of changed well, maybe it was kind of refreshing. I wouldn't say they changed the game, but I would say it's kind of refreshing. If you like, you mentioned Dead Space, that was a kind of a refreshing game for the time. Like, you know, there was no game that was like that. I would even say, I would go far as to say GTA 4 was something different, despite it was an open world game. But it felt like something different when you play. It didn't, because there were quests that would happen out of nowhere. There wouldn't be like, go to this area and you do this, or go to that. Like if you ever played GTA 4, there were tiny quests that were just randomly. And of course, you know, the main part of the open world was you going around causing chaos or doing what you want to do.
I guess the thing about GTA 4, it took a lot of elements from, you know, San Andreas and GTA 3, but it still has its own identity through the main story and
I think the mechanics, the mechanics really change everything.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you battle against others, and if you shoot at them, they fall down, and the way you hit them, I mean, at the legs, at the hands, you know, just straight to the head. The death animations back in the day were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like compared this to GTA 5 that just reduced the physics to, you know, it's not as amazing.
No, it's not good.
I mean, no, I mean, I didn't. I did.
I played GTA 5.
But if I saw the comparison videos of people, you know, shooting at guys, and they walk over you while having like a gun wound in the belly, the abdomen, they keep falling. I think this is really funny and really engaging.
Yeah, and I think that's what probably is, I guess the word we're looking for is unique, because I can't think of a game now that's like that. I'm trying, I really am. I can't think of one that's like that.
You know, maybe Max Payne 3, because
but that's 360. It's 360.
Yeah, you're right.
What I mean now, I mean, like, because the new era is PS4 and up. 360 is not new era. That's very old compared to PS4 and up. That's old. So that's what I mean. Like, I can't really think of one that's like now.
Yeah, you know, a game where physics and the rectals are like really important, because personally I love rectals in games, like silly rectals. Not silly rectals, but you know, where you just, you know, see the enemy, for example, fall down through you know, bridges or whatever, like from a high tower or something. I think this is really cool to see.
But is that what made GTA 4 different from, let's say, GTA 5, since GTA 5 is on the modern hardware, which was on the 360 too? But like, I'm trying to think of another, because Rockstar don't make games, so I'm trying to think of another one to compare it to, like, that's new.
So they wanted to include a lot of features from San Andreas and GTA 3, but then they also went back and down.
Well, GTA 3 was before San Andreas. GTA 3 was before San Andreas.
No, yeah, no, GTA 5 wanted to include the mechanics from GTA 3 and San Andreas, like the, you know, if you use a bicycle, you basically train your stamina, and if you go to the fucking fast food
Well,
a restaurant, you get fat. Yeah.
not 5. You didn't get fat in 5.
You don't? Okay, then.
No,
okay,
you don't get 5.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Okay.
I think if you run, maybe you up your stamina. But I know only San Andreas done the fat thing and the
Okay,
and the
okay, then.
the muscles thing.
Then my opinion about GTA became less.
So this is why I'm asking myself, what made games like Dead Space any different from, I don't know, anything new? Like, what made them different? What made BioShock different from anything new? What made Left 4 Dead different from anything new? Because this is where the standard is set. Because we've seen these games, we've played these games. What made them better, or better than anything we have now? Because people could say, well, the PS4 has great games, the PS5 has great games, but what make these games I just listed better, or better than the games that we have now? That's all. I've always asked myself that question.
I mean, first of all, we have like world building, UI, the setting, the characters. I mean, if you think about Dead Space, you think about the UI first, and then
Yep.
you think about
The sound design.
the audio design. Yeah, the audio design, the enemy design, the story, the world building, all combined, amazing. I mean, you could say Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3 lessens the world building, but still the audio design is still great in all of those games.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is something that you don't see nowadays really in modern games. Like UI is mostly a thing of the past. Like,
Oh, that's dead.
having a great UI design is kind of, we recently talked about Stalker 2. Stalker 2 has a terrible UI. Like, how
Horrible.
UI it comes straight. It looks like something straight from Unreal Engine 5, where you edit the game, where you use like console commands and such, and they just chose this UI and said, "Yep, that's it. We take that UI and we will not design it to make it look more appealing to the player."
What do you think now? What makes some of these games I listed, Fallout New Vegas, BioShock, Gears of War, and all those big games, Halo, those big games that were on the old time, better than anything we have now? Because my gaming standards is from N64, PS2, Xbox 360 to, that's my standard. This is what I've played, this is what I've witnessed, and this is what I like. So I'm sure you guys played the old consoles, of course. So your standard is kind of there too. Like, you've seen the good stuff, you've played the good stuff. What made that better than? Jeff already touched on it a little bit, but what made that better than what we have now from PS4 and stuff and up?
So the first thing I think of is with Resident Evil 4 and Dead Space. Now, they are very similar in genre. They're both survival horror, but they have their own takes on the gameplay, and obviously the overall setting's different. But Resident Evil 4, obviously it went more to the action side of things, but enemies felt responsive when you shot them. Like, you shoot a enemy in the leg, they get stunned, like they kind of kneel down, and then it opens them up for a melee attack. And if other enemies are nearby, then they can get affected by your melee attack, like they just get launched. Dead Space was really the first game that I can think of that utilized amputation as a form of damaging the enemies.
Yeah.
Well, being the only way of actually like defeating the enemies. Now, obviously, you can still body shot them, but you're just wasting ammo at that point.
Yeah.
And I was thinking something else.
If I bring up like something like BioShock, from the first time I remember playing it, I think it was the aesthetic and the sounds, and of course the story. The story was very good. I think the gameplay was kind of unique in its way because it didn't really tell the player to aim down sight like a traditional shooter. You had your hand, which had the atom, right? And you would zap or whatever power you had. And then you had the gun in the other hand. I couldn't think of a game at that time that did something like that. Maybe there was a game, but I remember playing that for the first time and that being something new and something refreshing. And again, like I said, the aesthetic is something you didn't see at the time. So that's what really captured my eyes, you know? So yeah, go ahead. But that was the other game I was going to bring up, is like BioShock or something like that.
Yeah, BioShock, I was going to bring up the immersive sim genre, which is a dead genre at this point.
Yeah.
But immersive sim was really the genre that kind of started this whole idea of having all these different ways to play the game. BioShock, there's been arguments with BioShock if it's even an immersive sim, but I think of games like Deus Ex, like Deus Ex Human Revolution, where with it's not only just the aesthetic and the world building, but the level design. Obviously, they're small kind of hub worlds, but these hub worlds have like small sections of level design. And say you come across a locked door and you can't hack into it, you have different ways of getting into that room. Usually, and there's always going to be a way to get into that room. You could shoot the door down. You could look around, find a vent, or you can move boxes around to get to a higher position to see if there's like an open part of the room. And that's normally a thing that games should have by this point, but even then, there's the serious lack of level design. Like with Resident Evil 4, there's different sections of the games where you're doing something different. Like obviously with the first section, you are in the village and you just have to survive. And then there's another section where you go into a mine shaft. And
then you have the castle, which is also another part. And then there's this part in the castle where you go in this like lava section, which these are change of scenery. I guess change of scenery is a huge one, but these are for linear games, of course. I don't think they barely make linear game as it is. But I think most of the games I've played, well, I guess you could say Silent Hill 2 remake, you could say God of War, Ragnarok. These are linear games per se, but they don't do the change of scenery like that anymore. No. Most of them look the same.
The thing is, a lot of these games just don't even bother putting filters or any kind of subtle, even try to make a subtle difference in the environment. I mean, everything just kind of just ends up feeling the same. Even back then with the piss filter, things looked different even behind the piss filter. Like each locations had a different vibe to them. They had a different theme. Like I think of Deus Ex again, there's Detroit, which is kind of crime-ridden area. You know, it's very grunge. And then there's China, where it's very high tech. And obviously China also kind of suffers from the same, at least in the Deus Ex world, it suffers from the same melting pot that America is now. So
yeah. But
that's in the lower sections of the city, like the ghettos, I guess you could say, or just the ghettos and the slums of the environment. So yeah, every place you went to, it felt different.
So then, anything else you have to say, Jeff? Or I was gonna move along with you.
There's another thing I want to mention is the problem that they see with people leaving the team behind, the companies, and then you have a lack of devs inside your teams, so you need like new members to create a new game.
Okay.
And all of those in-house engines you need like people to train them into those new engines, but you know waste a lot of time. Not waste of a lot of you could say waste of time, but you lose time and money. So therefore, you want cheap labor or people that are already experienced in another engine. And the problem nowadays is people use the Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine is a huge problem because everyone uses that engine. Because most people are already experienced with the engine. But the problem of this is everything looks the same. It looks hyper realistic.
Yeah, and I was gonna jump into that. Yeah, I was gonna jump into that. The game, when I usually make videos and I say this game looks the same as that game, I'm saying it as if like it does. It just feels the same. For me when I'm playing most of these games, they feel the same and they look the same to me. I never could put my hand on it, but again, I think we got to the conclusion of it being the engine. But didn't the old games have an engine too? Didn't they have the same engine that they use, or did they all have like, I wouldn't say maybe all companies had different engine, but did most of them or half of them have a different engine that they could use? Like,
okay, for example, let's take Witcher again. I know this gets annoying.
Well, that's the popular one, yeah. I mean, I could bring up Cyberpunk. These are the same, like these are big games too.
So Witcher uses the Red engine that was made by CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
Now, after Witcher 4 got announced on the Game Awards, they want to use the Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah.
They already mentioned it before the game got announced. They want to use Unreal Engine 5, and when they announced this was not as seen as like a bad news or news where people are like apathetic towards it.
Okay.
So, now people are getting fed up with Unreal Engine. The thing with Unreal Engine, it's unoptimized as hell. Like every time you play a game with Unreal Engine, you have the feeling, oh god, I hope my PC that is like 40, 80, 90 can run it, and the game feels fluent, and you don't need thousands of mods to fix the stuttering and all those lag spikes, because you don't want that. You don't want it on launch to play a buggy game, that doesn't feel fluent.
That makes sense.
It makes you think I wasted my money on something that doesn't run well, and
But my question is still like, they had engines back then, right? I'm sure these engines are they stem from engines back then. Like Unreal Engine, I'm sure been around for a while, no?
Yeah, but a lot of other studios had like their own engines, but they lose all the people. They lose all the people that have the experience how to work with those in-house engines.
Okay.
For example, the Red engine. Witcher 3, after Witcher 3 got launched, a lot of people left the studio. So there's a reason why Cyberpunk was this fucking mess on launch. It still is in sometimes. Because they all lost the experienced people, and they had like people that needed to be trained into how to handle the engine.
Yeah.
So what do you do with people that have not zero experience, but a little experience with the engine? You get people outside of your country, outside of Poland, get like third-party employees, and they work on Unreal Engine. They have experience with Unreal Engine. They make the newest entry of this game or whatever, and then you can also have like cheap labor basically, because
Yeah.
you can say, oh, I want people from India, I want people from parts of Asia. I want this, I want that. I mean, just look at, for example, the Dead Rising
Oh
remastered,
Lord. Yeah.
remastered game. It was not made by Capcom. It was only published, and they said, okay, we send it to China. China is cheap labor. I mean, it's not like the problem was not the engine. I think it runs on the Resident Evil engine.
Yeah. To the RE engine. Yeah. It's the RE engine.
Also a problem. I don't know. They have also not a lot of experience with the engine, because you saw it on launch. It was also a buggy mess.
Yep.
And the game wasn't that good looking. Even though they wanted like 50.
Don't get me started with the RE engine. That's already a problem in itself to me. But
I mean, let's talk about 2.
I wouldn't say Dragon's Dogma 2 looked that good. I don't know. It's alright, but
The performance was the big problem.
oh, okay.
Again, because you have no experienced people, and you change the purpose of the engine, because not every engine is made for a certain type of game.
Yeah.
For example, also the Frostbite engine from EA, from Electronic Arts. Huge problem with if you don't want to make a first person shooter with the Frostbite engine. And they pushed it on for example, on BioWare to make like a RPG game. And if you read and listen to the things that the devs said about Dragon Age Inquisition, the game before Dragon Age Valga, they had like huge issues with how to handle the engine, because it was made for shooter games.
I see.
First person shooter
That was the same. That was the same with. I don't know if you heard of this game X Defiant. Like it was meant to be. The engine was not meant for first person shooter, but they utilize it anyway.
Yes, and now the game is was taken down.
Yeah, it's dead. I know.
Yeah, it's funny how this works, man.
So what do you think? I don't know if you want to finish, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, so funny enough, the only 2 game companies I can actually think of that still utilize their own engines is Valve, Ubisoft, and obviously Capcom. I'm sure there's a few others, but majority of these other games just utilize Unreal Engine 5. Even the most recent game that I've been playing, Marvel Rivals, run Unreal Engine 5. And I've gotten several crashes from that game. Like I was playing yesterday and I got 3 crashes.
Yeah.
Session. And I'm by no means an expert in some of these engines and how they work, but Unreal Engine 5 is very unstable, and from what Jeff says, it seems like people are starting to see through the BS with Unreal Engine 5, but
they're going to eat all of these games though whenever they come out.
They're still gonna hype them up. Like something I did want to bring up though was when it comes to graphical fidelity is definitely one of the most hyped things nowadays in games. Where I'd say back in can't remember when the first Crysis game came out, but that's probably the first time.
2007.
Yeah, 2007. That's probably the first time where we really saw graphics be pushed into photorealism. And then Crysis 2 took it a step further, and then Crysis 3 is, I mean, I'll admit the Crysis 3 still looks good to this day in comparison to a lot of these other games, but the issue with Crysis is that it created this expectation that your games need to be as realistic and detailed as possible.
Mm-hmm.
People don't even want to see pixels or rough textures anymore. People have created a weird obsession. A very weird obsession over graphical fidelity rather than aesthetic.
Yeah, I need to see the pores in the face of the player model. I need to see all the polygons and every thing that I just see. But here's another thing. there's like now you have games that from back in the day that looked good, and then you compare the games to nowadays that are also considered to look good. Then they have all those filters, bloom, what do you call the other, the what's it called when the light is shining on your face.
DLSS.
Yeah, I think so. Like the God's Ray filter. I don't know
okay.
what it's called. But all those effects, and you just think, why is my game running? I have like a good spec. I have a RTX 3080, and my games should run perfectly on those settings. And I had like huge problems on Stalker 2. Stalker 2 runs. I needed like a couple of mods to fix those problems, and I needed to look up. There are like people that are like explaining, okay, you need those settings to be down, you need those settings to be up, and then the game will sometimes lag, but overall will run perfectly, or not perfectly, but it will run, run good enough for you. So, but the thing is that you as the player need to check up a video how to turn off and turn on whatever settings, and you have there most of the time there's no explanation what the setting does to your game, or what changes basically.
Okay.
I don't want that as a player. I just want to play the game. I just want to have like a good time with the game, and not bother with settings all the time for a couple of hours. And then on top of that, need to download mods to fix the problems the devs caused.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is just and then you see those people that say, oh, this game that just flopped. The reason was because of the engine. The engine was the reason. I mean, and then the solution they most of the time give is just, oh, people should just choose the Unreal Engine 5 engine the next time they make another game. It's basically normie speech. It's always you saw that with Starfield. They said like, oh yeah, the problem with Starfield was the engine. No, it's not the engine. I mean, you could say the engine gives you limitations, but there were other things that made Starfield like this shit game that we nowadays know.
Yeah. Let Nat finish the point that he was going to.
I wanted to finish my point, but on the topic of graphical fidelity, graphics nowadays, the people who work on these games, majority of the staff of these games just works on the graphical fidelity alone. Like, I think it's almost probably about 70 to 80% of the game staff, probably even more, work on the graphics and the way the game looks. And the rest of the dev team just is left to work on, okay, what type of game are we even making then? So, and photorealistic graphics, the fact that it's what people want, I mean, frankly, why don't these people just go outside and like talk to real people? If I wanted to look at people's pores and look at realistic looking people, I'd just go outside and talk to real people. But which I don't know if you even want to punt this part in the video, but I've mentioned this a couple times now. It seems like photorealistic graphics are really just pushed to give people the illusion that they're using video games as a substitute for their real life, like a lot of these anti-social people. But obviously that's kind of off topic, but you can put that in the video if you want.
Yeah.
Just this idea that people need to live vicariously through these games, and
again, I still. Yeah, go ahead, finish.
Even a few older games do this, like
but
BioWare and CD Projekt Red, I'd say they're the two biggest offenders of this, like, parasocial or just living vicariously through these games. These are the two worst companies that push this thing. I know it's kind of schizo, but I'm still gonna bring
No, that makes sense.
yeah.
But I still have the question though. Why is it that, because they use engines back then, we can, yeah, I think Jeff kind of touched on it with the lack of people experience with the engine that they, that left. Also, I would touch on like the look of every game. It's kind of the same. I know people was going to say, well, every game has piss filter back then, but their art style was different from the other games. They weren't the same. So like you said, the RE engine, right, that's the new thing for Capcom. But the thing is, Silent Hill 2 remakes look exactly like RE engine. There's no, just maybe the graphics are better, but they're the same thing. Like the look of both game are the same. I wouldn't, like, if I played Silent Hill 2 remake, I would have thought Capcom made this game because it looks the same. And it's just like, it's the same with The Last of Us, it's the same with God of War, it's the same with Spider-Man. These games look the same. Yeah, they're in a different setting, but they look the same. There's nothing that's really keeping me, for me, it doesn't seem like a different experience. It doesn't seem like anything new. Everything seems almost the same. And people can bring up the game Wukong. I don't know if Jeff played that yet, but for me, I haven't played the game yet, which I will, so I can judge it myself. But from what I've seen, it's nothing that would get my I don't know, get me hyped or something. It just seems like another game that's in this modern time. It doesn't seem like anything that I would get excited for, or nothing is drawing me in. That's what I meant to say. The only thing you can probably say is maybe the Souls-like gameplay. That's it. But there's nothing really pulling me to be like, oh my god, I kind of want to get this game. There's nothing really getting me.
Yeah, I think the problem is, I also have this problem with Wukong, because a lot of the areas look. Oh yeah, you have the desert area, you have snow area. Where are the cool buildings? Where are the cool levels? With crazy stuff in them. Where are those areas? I don't see them.
And then gamers would say
the enemies are cool. Yeah, the enemies are cool. I give the game that. But okay, where's this one area like Sense Fortress or Blighttown from Dark Souls 1?
Yeah.
Or where are those crazy, freaking crazy areas from God of War? The trilogy, the God of War trilogy, where you see in the background huge battles happening, and you as the player character need to survive all those traps that the game is throwing against you.
And
where's that?
And gamers would say, well, the game is still good. My thing is, okay, I get it. Like, you can name probably some 360, like in the 360 era, where games that were part of like the same trilogy, like Batman or something, that came out, and you can say, okay, well, these games are kind of the same every time they release. But my thing is that not a thing that isn't it overdue almost? Like, because we've had these games, we've been playing games for a while, mind you. I've been playing games since I was like maybe 6, 7. These are like, I've played a lot of games. When we get to the PS5, I don't want to play the same Souls game constantly, or Souls-like constantly. And like you said, what about the areas? There's nothing really pulling me in. I'm just going to play it just because I know it's Souls-like. I'm not playing it because, oh my, the world looked very unique. Even the characters, the enemies are, they look cool, but I wouldn't even say that is gonna really pull me in all the way.
Funny? When people praise Elden Ring, they never really praise the open world. They only praise the dungeons, the legendary dungeons. That's most of the time that people praise. They never praise on this huge open grass field or this huge open swamp.
Yeah.
The huge open poison swamp area. No, no one talks about that. I mean, yeah, of course, you see a couple of people say, "Oh yeah, this art design reminds me of this old painting of this certain artist back in the."
Let's say Dark Souls 3. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of ridiculous to see that people are saying like, this reminds me of this and that, and then the game itself is like, okay,
And watch all of the gameplay for Elden Ring. It's literally just running through to get the boss. The first time maybe when they played it, they tried to look everywhere and grasp the environment and stuff. But after you play it, you just run past everything. You're not really trying to do. You're just running past everything to get. And like you said, the dungeon. I've played a few dungeons. I think some of them had okay level design. I don't remember too many, but the ones I really remember looked the same, and I only remembered them very well because they felt the same. All of them felt kind of the same. But the ones I remember that were good, they had okay level design. I'm not going to sit there and lie. They had good level design. Like, I was like, all right, this is good. But the ones I really remember, they look the same.
Yeah,
and that's because of the same look.
Recently, they announced like the Elden Ring, the second DLC, or not DLC, but like the standalone game, and people are getting fed up right now with this. I mean, most will say, "Oh, the game is not out yet. We cannot judge it yet," and the game will be great because it's from software.
So it's a whole game in itself.
Honestly, I didn't looked into it that deep. I cannot tell you.
All I heard was it was a 3-person co-op thing. That's what I heard from it.
Yeah. So it's like they copied a lot of things from the open world. I guess I don't know if it's like its own thing. But either way, it's like people are getting fed up with this. Like,
okay.
They do say like, okay, what the fuck is From Software doing right now? And if we're talking about From Software, where everyone is, sucking them off. There's nothing to criticize about Elden Ring or From Software in general. If you do that, then you're a casual that needs to get good. I mean, from people saying
I don't want to get deep that we could talk about another time, because From Software is its own special thing that I would want to talk about later. But do you guys get what I'm saying though? I've been playing games for a majority of my life. In the PS5 era, you're going to have to do something insane for me to be like, oh, or at least do something that the old games did with the UI, with the aesthetics, with the level design, with the whatever world you put the player in, for me to be able. That's the only way I'm going to be like, okay, this game has a chance. But most games I've played on throughout the PS4 to PS5, they have not done any of that.
Yeah.
If I'm being real, maybe the only game I could probably think of that got me hyped was probably Bloodborne. Yeah, Sekiro. But if you remember Sunset Overdrive, that game kind of pulled me in a little bit. I was like, oh, this seems interesting, so I will buy. But these are the few games that got me though. But after that, if you even think about it, Souls are kind of the same most of the time. Like they haven't really innovated too far. Elden Ring, the only thing it had was open world, so it really didn't innovate too much.
Yeah. It's just basically the same. It's you could say, the gameplay of Souls. Why would you change it? It's already perfect.
It's already loved. And the thing is,
you want to continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the thing also with Souls is like, okay, there's like different. You have like slow combat, which you had like in Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Demon Souls, and then you had like fast-paced combat like in Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3. And the enemies are fast-paced or the enemies are slow-paced. Depends on the game you play. So they did change the formula of Souls kinda, but I don't want to talk about the Elden Ring that much, but Elden Ring had like a huge flawed combat system for me.
Yeah, let's not get deep into that because I can too. But yeah, what do you think?
But the problem is fanboyism is a big problem right now.
Yeah.
People do not want to criticize the new bought game for some reason because they have like this honeymoon phase when when they play and buy the game, and they say all those criticisms that you have they are illegitimate. Like,
But the thing is, even me though, even my favorite games I can criticize too though. Even though they're very good to me, but they could still be criticized.
Yeah.
And that's not where I'm going with the criticism. My thing is that it all feels not exciting. Doesn't feel new. Doesn't, because when we jump from the original Xbox and the PS2, or from the GameCube to the Xbox 360, that was a different time. That was something, that was a huge thing for gaming, and it had games that really captured me, that made me want to play. Now when we jumped to PS4, there was a few that I was like, okay, that looks cool, I'll play it. And then throughout PS4, there was none of that. And then now to PS5, there is none of that for me now. Like, it all feels the same. It all doesn't feel exciting. And what do you think also, like, to add, maybe you can add something to that too?
About Souls, or just like,
no, about games. You've been playing for a while, I've been playing for a while, and with these newer games, they're not really, everything just feels the same. There's no excitement, everything just feels samey.
well, I think some of the older games I've been playing, like, obviously I decided to replay the Deus Ex Human Revolution, Mankind Divided, and obviously I'm more of an immersive sim guy, but the way those games, at least for me, like, after like not playing them for a while, I actually had more enjoyment out of it than most other games today. Like, trying to think of a recent game I played that I could use as an example, but
maybe you don't play that many modern games. Well, yeah, though, but from what you see though, because does any modern games you've seen you like, oh, that looks interesting, that it grabs you in or it pulls you in, you're like, oh, this looks good, I'm going to purchase that? Have you had any of that?
Would you also include like indie games?
I was going to talk about indie games after too, but yeah, go ahead.
But I guess the only two games this year that really pulled me in was Helldivers 2 and Marvel Rivals. But I mean, Helldivers 2, it doesn't really do anything different than what we've seen in other games back then. I mean, it's just like a co-op, it's kind of like Left 4 Dead, but a huge, wide battlefield, and you just go run around, complete objectives, and there's a lot of different ways to I shouldn't say a lot of different ways, it just feels kind of a weird word to use. It just feels fun, blowing stuff up in the game, or just shooting enemies, because enemies do react to your bullets. A lot of newer games don't have that, where the enemies actually react.
Yeah. But I mean, that might be what kind of got you hooked. I think also another thing that probably got you hooked was maybe the multiplayer aspect and the co-op grind or something. Could that be the thing that got you to play?
When I initially started, I was kind of into the grinding thing, but it's more of a casual thing to me now. Like Left 4 Dead 2, I still play it casually. Like, I used to play it a lot more when I was younger. I mean, I have over 1,000 hours in it, so
yeah.
With Left 4 Dead 2, just the director system in Left 4 Dead helped that game back then, because no two playthroughs felt the same. Like, when the game detected if it was too quiet, then it would throw a horde of zombies at you. Or you're low health, then the game would spawn in a health kit nearby. You know, it's dynamic. Like every playthrough felt fresh.
Yeah.
And which I don't know if we'll get into this later, but the modding scene of the game, like the mods help Left 4 Dead a lot because it adds content to the game without the formula, because the formula for Left 4 Dead, in my opinion, has already been perfected.
Yeah.
And Back 4 Blood, which I did not play Back 4 Blood.
Oh Lord.
Turtle Rock, yes, they copied the formula, but now I know back in the day, Turtle Rock, they like came up with the concept for Left 4 Dead in like a Counter-Strike mod, I think, but I'll try to keep this short, but they gave the concept, but Valve basically perfected it. Like Valve had, you know, obviously with just shooting the zombies, like just shooting a regular zombie, your shots had a lot of impact to them. And even just like mowing through hordes of zombies, it felt good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also
keep in mind, Turtle Rock was just how many guys made Left 4 Dead and Back 4 Blood? Not most of them. Most of the guys that made Left 4 Dead also worked on on Valve.
but the guys that made Left 4 Dead, I don't think they made Back 4 Blood.
This is something I want to pick out on this, because there's this problem right now that people think of, this one creator of, for example, Dead Space, or he now makes Callisto Protocol, the creator of Dead Space. It's a huge marketing strategy to say, oh yeah, we did this game years ago, and the creator or the studio makes this new game, and there was like, oh yeah, hype or whatever.
Yeah.
People do not consider that that things change, like people that that work on those games believe, or they change on their views, which is also a thing that artists most of the time do. Even if you have like the same team that remakes a game they made 10, 20 years ago, they still change things for the worse most of the time. Because
a lot of the time.
Silent Hill 2, the music, the same the same composer.
The thing is, I have my theory. It's not him. I don't care what anybody say. I know the thing might say, oh, he made it, but I still have my doubts he made it, because it can't be the same guy. That's crazy.
let's say it's the same guy. The OST became worse.
Yes, it did.
So even if you have the same people, they still changed things, and they make it worse most of the time, because I had like a change of heart over the years because of the story bits of this is because it is too toxic, and which is why I need to make it more politically correct, or this part where it's like really brutal, I need to tone it down, because I don't know the reasoning, but you just fill it up with your own theories. But either way, people just are stuck in this thinking of, I need to stick with a company to the end, like BioWare, like with Halo, or not the creator
343.
Not the 343.
Bungie.
Bungie, Blizzard. What else? Capcom.
Yeah.
All those teams, making those great games back in the day, and then they make shit games stuff. So games that are like subpar, mediocre.
So then,
it's not the same people. It's not the same people working on those games.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's other people.
So then, what is mediocre then? This is a question I want to hear, or answer I want to hear from you guys. What is mediocre then?
You want to talk about this? You want to start this?
Yeah, I can start. So, when people say mid or mediocre, which they use them interchangeably most of the time. So it seems to most of these people, most of the normies, what they think of is it's passable. It has its moments, but it's most of the game is just not really there. Or I guess another word I could use is it just doesn't feel like a complete experience, or it just
unfinished, janky.
Yeah,
Janky. Yeah, something like
maybe not like purposely unfinished. Just it doesn't like there's no satisfaction from the game.
Yeah,
No
Like he said, the experience doesn't feel complete, almost.
Yeah, there's not really any feeling of accomplishment. Like when I went through the pain of playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, over 200 hours of playing that game,
Holy.
I felt no accomplishment, and it.
Would you say that's mid though?
It wasn't like a journey.
But
Like a journey.
would you say that's mid though? Would you say that's mid? Yeah, more like a chore. Yeah, that's a good word to use. Would you say that's mid though, Nav? Like, would you say from that experience of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, would you say that's mid, or would you say that's garbage?
No, I would say it's garbage. I think mediocre is mediocre,
Generous.
at least to me. Yeah, it's just not being. It's too generous and it's being dishonest about a game. And I dare say it could even overrate a game sometimes, where it's like, oh, this game has this, remarkable thing about it, or it's good in this area, but overall, it's just a bad game and doesn't do anything unique. Like, I guess that's another thing with mid or mediocre.
Yeah.
That people is that it's just not unique, but they never point out that it's not a unique game. Like, strange example. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a mediocre game, at least not its current state, or just a bad game. But Marvel Rivals, like, it's not a unique game by any means, but it's still fun. It was still fun to play, but it's.
But I think it's due to the grind and the teamwork. That's what makes it fun. Because when the game, let's say the game 5 years from now, I don't know if that's gonna be the case. Or maybe I'm being too much. Maybe 3 years from now. I don't think that's going to be the case. Like, yes, it's a fun game at the start. Yes, it's whatever, team playing is fun. But for me, this is me talking. I don't think 3 years from now, if I keep playing it, if it would be like that. Maybe if I give it a break, like for, I don't know, a year or something, maybe I can come back. Oh, okay, it's the fun again. But that's due to the teamwork and the multiplayer aspect. But other than that, yeah, like you said, it's not anything unique, I would say. But yeah, it's a fun game for sure. But it's not unique.
I wanted to bring up, with Marvel Rivals, I want to bring up Overwatch. So Overwatch took its inspiration from Team Fortress 2 and I'd say Destiny or Titanfall. So where they got the inspirations for Team Fortress is pretty clear, class-based characters. And obviously when Overwatch came out, it wasn't completely, like, it wasn't really a new thing, so to speak, but it's almost a situation with Resident Evil and Dead Space, and it's survival horror, but they're different enough to where you can hell they're different games.
Or you can have a unique experience with that other game, despite it was inspired, or a little bit, its inspiration, a little bit of its inspiration came from another game. Still, it had its identity, if that makes sense. So I think that's what with Overwatch. Didn't play the multiplayer for that long, but I did play it for a little bit. Yeah.
And then I guess what made Overwatch very fun was each character was overpowered in one area, and then in other areas they were just bad against the other characters. Like every character had a counter.
Yeah.
And eventually at some point, which I didn't play Overwatch very long, I only played it during the beta, but at some point they nerfed a lot of the characters, and then they wanted to push a lot of politically correct stuff in the game. And yeah, they just. I'm surprised the game's even like surviving, which I know why it's surviving. I mean, we all know why it's surviving. It's a certain place on the internet. I'm not going to mention it. Marvel Rivals, yeah, Marvel Rivals. Like, I know the developers said that, oh, this game is just a Overwatch clone, but they forget that, well, at least in Marvel Rivals, it's fun. Like, the characters, it feels like that day one almost of Overwatch, where okay, every character is overpowered in some way.
It does.
Each character has their own like power fantasy to them, and let's hope NetEase, I think is the company, the Chinese company. Let's hope they keep that up, but only time will tell. So
yeah. So I was gonna lead it to the indie games after, because people would tell me, well, play indie games, which I've played some, which by some I mean maybe like 3. People say play indie games, but from the 3 I've played, they were, well, okay, wait, I don't want to run too far because I didn't give my definition of mediocre, and I don't think Jeff gave his definition of mediocre. Jeff, would you say you align with in the mediocre category, or do you have something you could add to that mediocre, like the definition for either normies and you?
So we need to differentiate what we consider now mediocre and compared to the mediocre games back in the day.
Yeah. Okay.
It also leads to what standards someone has. So nowadays, if a game is mediocre nowadays, and then you compare it to the mediocre games back in the day, you think the game back in the day, oh yeah, this is now considered a masterpiece.
Yeah.
A day of age. For example, Space Marine 2. Space Marine 2 is considered a masterpiece for some reason. So Space Marine 1 had a lot of other features, had even more features than Space Marine 2 has, and was considered
Mediocre. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Real.
considered a mediocre game.
That's true.
Some even said it was a bad game.
I would say it's pretty mediocre. I did get it all the way to the end, so I would say that's mediocre though. But it still got me to the end. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but it was, you had the Warhammer franchise, or there was, back in the day we didn't have a lot of Warhammer games, so actually it should have been considered like, oh yeah, this game is in the Warhammer franchise, one of the darkest settings in entertainment, and it didn't get a lot of hype, really. I mean, it sold enough, I guess, but not enough to make everyone think it's a great game or a good game. It was just mediocre. You can have fun with it, but you wouldn't praise it and make it include in your
top 10. Yeah, you wouldn't. Because I did play Space Marine 1, but I think that was mediocre. Yeah. Borderline bad. I would say borderline bad, but it's still mediocre-ish.
Yeah.
Like it's
no, and then you have like Space Marine 2, where all those grifters, right and left grifters, those kind of people say like, oh yeah, this game is so fucking masculine. This game is this and that. You shoot and kill aliens, and you are for the Emperor, and this kind of garbage.
Yeah.
And then because of that, and this game is still in some ways it's woke because they changed or retcon settings from the lore, and but I will not go deep.
Don't. Yeah.
But the thing is, the game that was considered, or you play as a masculine character that is commanding his brothers in arms to combat, to fight the evil creatures of hell or whatever. This game is not considered great just because it does the bare minimum.
Yes, that's what I was gonna mention too. But you pointed out that the Space Marine 1 had more features than Space Marine 2.
Multiplayer wise.
Oh,
Multiplayer wise, it had more features than
what?
you could say, Spaceman 2 is still still has a couple of updates before getting shut down basically by the devs, and then they make Space Marine 3 or whatever, or DLCs.
Oh, wait, seriously?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Space Marine 2 ended on a cliffhanger.
Okay, wasn't there multiplayer in Space Marine 2, or was I mistaken?
No, Space Marine 2, Space Marine 1 has multiplayer. No, what I'm talking about is more like customization, and you can do what modes you can play. But either way, I don't want to stay on this topic.
Okay.
But what mediocre games nowadays are like, I would say Ubisoft games. Ubisoft games are considered now mediocre games. Star Wars Outlaw is considered.
That's mediocre. Wait, to you or to the average?
No.
Okay.
To the average Joe.
Okay. I was about to say.
I mean, of course, I guess in your comment section, everyone will say, oh no, it's not considered mediocre. It's considered bad. I mean, this narrative always changes.
Yep.
With the whatever the topic of the video is, people will say, either people will say they agree with you silently, don't comment about this, or people will say, they disagree and will comment about this in the comment section, and then you have like this narrative, or this game is considered bad, but overall people said Star Wars Atlas is average.
Okay.
They did say this. They say it's average. It's
okay.
Flopped, yeah. It's considered average.
Okay.
It seems like they only, depending on like what the game is and what reputation it has, or what the company's reputation is, they usually just decide, oh, it's just a bad game, even though they'll play an identical game that is mediocre and is the exact same as the game that they criticize. So
yeah.
So then what does mediocre mean to you, Jeff, instead of the average normie?
I mean, so you can still have a mediocre game, you can still have fun with it,
Yeah.
I don't say a mediocre game is boring. It's just it has things inside the game that could have been better. Features in the game could have been better, but they didn't either have time, or they run out of ideas, and and then
they don't execute. Yeah.
That's why you need like a sequel to iron out the problems and make it a better game. Most of the time, the second game is mostly considered the better game in most cases, or it's either the opposite and it's even worse than the first game, and then it goes downhill afterwards. But either way, what I consider mediocre game is a game that does the same that many games before did, but they do not want to make in their mind a better game. Like you have like a huge catalog of games that got released back in the day, so you could took inspiration of this game or that game, and then make your own game, and then you do even greater game, whatever.
Yeah.
But most of the devs nowadays don't do that. They just want to make a game, get the money at the end of the month, and then continue on that. There's no passion doing games anymore.
Yeah. For me, mediocre game would probably be, like you said, I think I'm gonna steal one of yours. It's been done before and it's getting tiring. I think that's like kind of getting to the mediocre for me.
Yeah.
But a mediocre game for me could also be like I play it to the middle or like towards the middle, and I don't see myself continuing. I drop it or something. That's a mediocre to me. Now for me, I never had too much mediocre experience. I either had good or disappointing or just complete garbage to me. I've never had like a mediocre. The only game I could think of that's mediocre, which is, I'm going to kind of twist some feathers if people get this far, it's Gears of War. I think Gears of War is mediocre. When it comes to gameplay, I think it's pretty mediocre. I don't think it's anything I don't know, huge. I think, like, especially when you get to like the third or the second one, I don't know, I just didn't think it was, the game is, yes, it has, it's also is very good, like it's part that's good, but I think the gameplay, it's pretty mediocre. You hide shoot.
Yeah,
don't know
And
if that
also,
was pretty thing, that's something that's huge.
You know what's funny? When Gears of War got released, a lot of games copied this system of Gears of War. I mean, you copy the system of a mediocre game, and then you make copies of it.
It's the same with The Last of Us, but this time it's trash. But it's the same with The Last of Us. They copy that same formula with every other game now. Over the Shoulders is the meta for every game.
There was only one aspect of Gears of War that probably set it off from like other games, was the active reload mechanic. Now that's been there the first game.
I was going to bring that up, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but the active reload is you reload your gun and you press reload again at a certain point, which the game will actually show you where to press it, and then you'll get a faster reload or you get a damage boost, depending on how quick you are. And I think that's the only thing that really kind of helped the gameplay. But at least when I played Gears of War, when I played very little of it, the enemies, at least to me, they didn't really feel like they were affected very much by your shots.
Yeah.
So.
They didn't react. Sometimes they didn't react from what I remember playing. That was, I don't know. I would say the gore is good. Like the sound of like the flesh getting exploded and stuff. Those are good. But throughout my whole playthrough, it was just dodge, shoot. And then when you look at Gears of War, I would say it's 10 times better than like some of these average shooters that's now. Like, I would say that. But that's the problem. Back then, that was mediocre, at least to me. I don't know how people, I remember people really loving Gears of War. But for me, it was mediocre. And then when I look at now, I mean, I can't think of any game that's like it too much. Like in the PS4 era or PS5. I can't think of, except for, of course, Gears of War 5. But even when you look at that, two different games. So that's what I mean. For me, mediocre is like that. It gets me to the middle. And it's like, all right, I don't know if I want to keep playing this. I probably drop it. And mediocre is the bare minimum, I think. Or it's doing something that the others have done before, but it really didn't really innovate on the system. It just, whatever. It's whatever. That's mediocre for gaming now. But for me, gaming now, I haven't found a game like from PS5, PS4. I haven't found a game that's truly mediocre. It's either bad or it's good. I had none of, like, I didn't have it, or disappointing. I've never had a mid like category for anything new, but that's just me. So I guess now we can move it to the indie games. I played some indie games. I think, what's the game name? What's that game that's 2D Blasphemous? I think Blasphemous was indie, from what I remember. Do you remember playing Blasphemous, anyone?
I know of Blasphemous. I never played it. Is it an indie for?
Isn't it a double A or something? I don't think it's a triple A though. I'm thinking it's like in the lower scene.
I guess it would be considered indie. So yeah. Let's say it's indie.
Again, I haven't played too much indie games, but people say, okay, play indie games. The indie games I've been watching, which I do seek. It's not like I shun indie games. I seek for indie games. The ones I've seen, they're also themselves are samey, and not only that, they don't attract me as much either. Maybe there's one in there. There might be one in there. I was talking to a guy at work and he mentioned a game that I've never heard before. it's essentially like a Fallout, but you know, it's an RPG one. But you know, I would try it out to see. But from the ones I've seen and played, yeah, they're pretty mediocre. And the ones I've seen, they're either made by some type of, don't want to say the word, but a weird person or whatever, a tranny. They're made by tranny, or they're like, you know, it's not, and the art style is not good enough, at least for me. And the gameplay don't look interesting enough for me to be like, okay, I would splurge the money. And again, I'm sure there are indie games that are good. I haven't found them yet, a one that really captured my heart that I can be like, okay, this is a great game right here, this people should play. What about you guys?
So I did play one indie game that got released this year, called For Winter. It's like Escape of Tarkov. It's
that game. Okay, yeah.
You know, it's a shooter. It's a you know, where you scavenge and plunder through like a dead world that's ridden with warfare, and other, you know, geological problems. It's like, you could say it's like Warhammer. It's like Stalker. It's like a combination of those two things. And you don't play as like an important figure. You play more like an unimportant person, like a scavenger. The art design is amazing in this game, and also the music and how the lore of the game is, the world building in general is amazing.
See, there's a game to try though. Oh, there's a thing. Okay.
Here's the thing. Yeah. The gameplay is kind of rough. Right now, it's still in early access, I must say.
Oh, okay.
They updated the game the beginning of November, the end of September, October, I mean. But the update didn't do a lot of things for me personally, and you know, now. Like the peak amount of players was like 14,000 on Steam. Now only 100 people playing this game, because there's nothing you can do. You can grind. You can grind your level for your characters. You have like 5 characters. They have like different. They're not really that different. It's just, you know, this character is really speedy and you know, kind of run away from attacks, but it's on the other is more like a tank or whatever. But there's not a huge difference really, and there's no real emphasis on playing the game right now. So. And I mean, you could say it's. I hope the game is not that, but you know, with early access games, it's always the case of, will this game get finished, or will it just, you know, die?
Yeah.
During development, because of lack of funding.
From what I saw you playing, the aesthetics do look cool.
The aesthetic are amazing.
They look very good.
I would say the game looks unique, but the gameplay is just, you know, okay, it's like Escape of Tarkov. And there's no, you know, PvP going on or other cool shit. It's more like, oh yeah, the AI either becomes really stupid, or really they can see you miles away, can one-shot you. There's also a thing happening. Oftentimes there's just bullshit happening around you. But the thing is, you have all those indie games, like you get like 100 indie games getting released every day, and you think to yourself, most of the time they're samey.
The one I've seen, they're 2D side scrollers or like or over the top mouse clickers. Like those are the ones I've been trying to see, you know, I've been seeking, but those are the ones I would see the most.
Yeah, it's most of the time made by RPG Maker, you know, and then nothing interesting going on. And keep in mind, there are so many great games that got released back in the day. The catalog is insane.
And I was going to get into that, yeah. But
yeah, why would you waste your time with an indie game if you have so many great games that got released?
well,
in the
because
90s,
game sucks now.
early 2000s.
Well,
you know,
because
then you
AAA's
have-
are not good. I would think if AAA is not good, you would result to indie games.
And then on top of that, if you want to keep playing those games, you have also modding support most of the time. Because there are like a lot of dedicated modding communities made around a lot of games that were made back in the day. Why would you waste money and time on games you don't even know if they get finished? Or something. It's also something that a lot of those devs are like. They are terminally online that they say something really stupid to either fans say, "Oh yeah, you this and that," and they just need to spread their fucking illness, their political illness.
Let's not get that deep. That could be another video. That could be another video. It could be another.
But either way, what I want to say is I just want to play my games. I don't want to see all this bullshit,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear this bullshit, because you will hear this bullshit in some sort, either if you go through forums or social media or whatever. I just don't want to see that. I just want to play a game, have fun, so and that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't want any of the other bullshit.
Yeah. Fair. What about you?
So I haven't played a whole lot of indie games, but the last one I played was last year, which was Shadowrunner, or I'm sorry, not Shadowrunner, Ghost Runner. It's kind of a speed run, like combat, like one hit you die, so you need to. It's basically just die, repeat. You screw up, you repeat the same thing again. It's not really anything unique. I didn't play it very much, so I know the sequel recently came out, but I think initially I got it the first time, which I was a bit more ignorant at the time when I first got it. But I think the only thing that attracted me to it was the setting. Like I like cyberpunk as a setting. I'm a huge fan of Neuromancer and William Gibson's work, but as a game, it's all right. It has this things you'd expect from like a lot of other games. Like, okay, so it's first person. You move fast, so it has. I think it has like a grapple hook, if I remember correctly. There's wall running. You can actually slow down time to attack, or just have more of a window to hit
It
enemies.
remind me of that one game. Forgot the name. Came out recently. It's like Thief or something. Like those type of games.
Yeah. Well, Thief is an immersive sim, but Ghost Runner. It was. I'll just say it was okay. It's not really anything unique. I didn't even complete it, so.
Yeah, I think I've heard of Ghost Runner. I think I've heard of that game.
Do you think of Mullet Magic?
That's probably what he was thinking of, was Mullet Magic, is you run the level very quickly, but the Mullet Magic, you're under like a timer. With Ghost Runner, you have all the time you want, but the game still does time you on like how long you take to complete the level. So
I think I did hear of Ghost Runner actually. I might have played it without even knowing.
Yeah, the sequel came out. I think.
Yeah, I've played Ghost Runner.
Yeah, Ghost Runner 2 wasn't. This is a funny thing. Ghost Runner 2, that should have ironed out all the problems of the first game. I think it's considered by the fans. I didn't play Ghost Runner 1. I just played Ghost Runner 2. Most of the people say Ghost Runner 1 was better. So that's
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah, but to finish up, Ghost Runner, it's just it was fine, but I wouldn't go back to it. And I think that's just, with the current state of the gaming industry, is that nothing is really unique, and so of course indie developers are just going to go to these most popular game mechanics and just have a slightly different spin on it, even though Ghost Runner doesn't really have much of a different spin on it. So
What game? I'm trying to think of the game. There's a game that's like this. I just don't know. I forgot the name of it. But it was like a Thief, but not immersive sims. What's that new game that had you go back in time? You were this black guy and this I think it was might have been a black lady.
Oh, Deathloop?
Deathloop. Yeah, it reminded me of that type of game. Like what genre is that again? Is that like a I know it's first person and you shoot and you you can quickly okay. So Ghost Runner's not huh? Because these type of games remind me of you could like quickly go through the level and like kill everything and then redo it a different way. I thought that was I thought that's what I remember from Ghost Runner, but maybe not. It's just running straight through a level. I'm looking at it now. You run straight through a level and as fast as possible. What is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I did play this game without even knowing. That's how non-memorable. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was alright game. I think it's true though. I think I'm to the point where I believe it's not possible to really do anything about that. Like it's to the point where I don't even think AA or indie game, whatever, could do something different. Like I mean, maybe you could say like games like those streamer games like what's that game name? That stupid game with the sus word. What's that game name? That space game where people running around in suits. It's a streamer game. Among Us. Yeah, you could say Among Us maybe something that's not done, but these games don't attract me anyway. But you can say something like that is something because it wasn't in an indie first and then became popular, so now it's like huge. So I haven't found anything. I don't think indie developers can possibly do something new, like where they can really get gamers to be like, oh, this is a new experience. I don't personally believe that. That's just me though.
I think the last time where we really saw innovation was, and I'm talking about, well, maybe not real innovation, but probably the last time I saw innovation in a game was Titanfall 1 with the wall running mechanics in a first-person shooter setting.
Yes.
And I mean, the first time it was done very well. Titanfall 1 was great. Obviously, it did have its issues like progression. There wasn't really anything to strive towards in that game, from what I remember. Obviously, Titanfall 2 fixed that, but Titanfall 2 did not sell well because it was competing against
Call of Duty.
And yeah, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. So yeah, Titanfall basically died after that. And
but the thing is, now that concept's been taken. It was taken by Call of Duty because it's more popular.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that after Titanfall came out, it was probably Advanced Warfare. Yeah, Advanced Warfare was like the first game where Call of Duty started to punt in the enhanced mobility mechanics, and then they stopped in 2017 with Call of Duty World War II because it looks like people finally got sick of the copying. And
yeah,
I think after that, enhanced mobility kind of died. Well, wall running in particular died. Like there's still enhanced mobility in these games, but they've just taken from other games at that point. Like I know there's the diving mechanic in the new Black Ops, or maybe that's
it's not new. It's literally just Rainbow Six.
Yeah.
I don't know why people want to cope. That's Rainbow Six.
Yeah, enhanced mobility, like wall running, it's basically died. Like not even Apex Legends has wall running, so
yeah. And that's with me in indie games. Again, I'm not shunning indie games at all. I'm sure there could be one that's fun. Like I said, Blasphemous was good. I liked it. That art style is being done a lot though. I will say that like pixely art style is being done.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? You mentioned Blasphemous, and you know, I also think of the other game. What's the other game that is also said like, oh yeah, it's like Dark Souls. Silk something, like the sequel game that keeps getting delayed.
Is it that ghost character? Is it like a ghost character? Dang it, I forget the name. But it's a 2D side scroller too. I forget the name of it.
Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight, yeah, Hollow Knight, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, both those games are also, said, oh yeah, Dark Souls is the huge inspiration for both of those games.
I would say more of what's that game name? Dang it, Prince of Persia. They're like more of that, or Mega Man. That's what I kind of thought they were going for.
I meant more like the progression system.
Oh yeah, it's a Souls, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't say it's a bad thing. I just find it funny that they just copy a system, and they are not considered like the best of indie games.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight, Blasphemous. Blasphemous still is, it's still unique from its art design.
Yeah. And
Hollow Knight, I guess, for its gameplay. But they say like, oh yeah, indie games are like, the games are like, unique.
Personally,
they're unique. They just take stuff from games back in the day and then make their own games.
Yeah, the thing is, again, that's why I said that I don't think developers can do something unique like 100%. I think they can take the same thing from a AAA and maybe try to add their own thing to it, but that's about it. After that, at some point, I don't know, this won't be as good.
Okay, let's say what would you consider unique? Like a game that makes something the first time?
Well, for me, unique is my experience, honestly. I'm sure there's a lot of things that's not unique, like completely unique, but the experience feels totally different from if I did play the thing that it was inspired from, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because when I play Blasphemous, it's the same as any old 2D side scroller. It's not like I could even say it's the same as Hollow Knight. I know people say gameplay wise, it's kind of the same. You jump, you hit the boss, you jump back, you hit the boss again, you jump. It's not really a thing.
Like Castlevania.
Castlevania. Yeah, it's like that, which is not a terrible thing to me. It's not a terrible thing. But I think it's oversaturated. Like, there's a lot of games like that in the indie scene. There's a lot of 2D side scroller. There's a lot of that now. So, I mean, I would think it get oversaturated. But like I said, I did like Blasphemous. I did play a little bit of Hollow Knight, didn't finish, but I do like Blasphemous though. I liked it. And these are the few indie games. That's like one of the few I liked. But after that, there's too many. They're not anything I would write home about at all. They're good, and you move on. That's just how it is. So, and for the last part I was gonna get through is that I think we had a lot of different this is the same with the indie, a lot of different genres back then that were new to me, or maybe not genre, maybe a different way to play things, I think I should say. Because back then we had 3D platformer, and you said RTS, right? You had those. Yeah. You had like games. Would you say Fallout 1 is kind of RTS, or would you say that's like just a point and click like type of?
No.
Dungeon and Dragons maybe.
Fallout 1 and I guess you want to mention Baldur's Gate 1, 2.
Baldur's Gate, yeah.
RPG turn-based.
Okay. So
not turn-based, but real-time with pause, and in Fallout's case, a turn-based RPG game. But yeah, they are.
You had survival horror when Resident Evil came out. Then you had the fixed camera. These are different ways to play like some of these games. Then you had the 3D era with the 360 time, where you had Dead Space in them, or the newer Resident Evils. Yeah. I think there was a lot back then, but now in the scene now, I don't know. I think especially also they're making fewer games these days. Most of the games they're adding are usually remasters or remakes, but they're technically making fewer games in this type of time. And I will say the 360 kind of suffered from that slightly, I would say. But I think the PS4 and the PS5 enhance it more, like with making fewer games but having more remasters and more remakes at that time. Fewer libraries. Like, if you're being honest, these bigger publishers or developers, they have fewer libraries now. So when you're getting the same crappy game every time, with fewer libraries to add more or different type of games, I think it gets to the point where you're like, oh well, I don't really think I'm bored of most of these things.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes a game needs like 5-6 years to get developed and finished, and then at the end it's like, what the fuck is this huge game? Like from a technical and a gameplay perspective, it's oftentimes there. How is this possible? This is in such a shitty, shitty, phase of the gameplay is unfun or mediocre or average, whatever you want to call it, and the game is also a buggy mess.
Yeah.
And then they waste like 6 years on that. Like you saw with fucking Conquered or Dragon God, it needed like what 8 years for both of those games.
8 years, holy.
Yeah.
For that, okay. But
I mean, of course, you could say, oh yeah, they made the game 4 years ago. They really they worked on those games 4 years ago, and the years before that they made concepts and whatnot. But either way, they still, the employees still worked on this in some way. So they were paid for working on something.
yeah.
So, yeah, you could still consider it to be developed during this time.
And another thing is, I think the players. Well, you can comment then first if you would like from that, and then I'll move on because I was gonna move on to another thing. But yeah, go ahead, Nav, if you have something. You want to add to that?
What did you?
Just fewer game libraries in this type of time. Like they make fewer games now, which I think you would think would be. Maybe would lower the boredom of gaming, but it actually enhance, at least for me, enhance the boredom because there are just fewer games being made, and then when they come out, they're not that good.
I think it's also a problem of genre.
Yeah, genre is another thing I think too. Yeah. Like they don't make 3D platformers anymore. They don't make fixed cameras anymore. They don't have these.
With the lack of gaming library today. Definitely has to do with the lack of genres. Like 3D platformers are almost died. I mean, obviously, what was the 3D platform?
No. He's talking about Astrobot.
Astrobot.
Even that, let me mention, is not considered to 3D platformers. It's not even, it's not even close. But for this time, it's good, I guess, since we haven't seen it in a long time. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it was just refreshing. That's all it was. And obviously, it won game. Did it win Game of the Year? I can't remember if it won.
Yeah, it won Game of the Year. Yeah,
won Game of the Year.
Gaming is saved. Let's go. That was just good. Yeah, go ahead.
But, yeah, the only games that people like, the only game genres that are really popular today are action RPG, first-person shooter, and I mean, I think that's all I can really think of, really. I'm sure there's some MMOs out there, but...
No,
I don't know too many MMOs.
Horror, I guess.
Yeah. But the only one making survival horror is literally Capcom.
Yeah,
I can't think of any competition at all.
Maybe survival games, kind of like Minecraft, but that's... Even those are kind of not really mainstream in comparison to a lot of the other games like Call of Duty, Fortnite, Apex Legends. Well, I heard Apex Legends is dying, but it was popular.
Yeah, hero shooters and mobile games. Yeah, they're also on top of that. But for example, you had like immersive sims you mentioned.
Yeah, that's another one I forgot.
RTS games, point and click adventures.
Yep, I haven't played a point and click in a while. Maybe there's some indie though. But are they good? I have no clue. I might try to put in some point and click indie games in there.
What's the game that where you know all those people were thirsting for the sister,
That's
this small
stupid.
game.
I don't know the game, but I know of the game. Like I mean, I know of the character. I mean,
the coffin of, well, whatever, this game, this fucking golf.
yeah, is it that stupid incest game?
Could you consider would you consider this a point and click game?
I haven't watched gameplay. I just know of the character. I didn't watch gameplay. I might have to watch. I haven't.
You were on those sides.
No. No.
Yeah, but either way, I guess this is a game you would consider point of click adventure, and it's.
I mean, I don't know.
It's considered, to be successful, I guess.
I didn't play it, nor did I. Like I said, I didn't watch gameplay to know. But I probably, if you point and click, I guess it's a point and click adventure. I don't know. But either way, there were more. You were saying RTS, point and click, MMOs. Do they still make those? They probably do. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really pay attention to the MMO like stuff. I know there's some stuff announced for Crimson Desert, so that's obviously still being played. I think Black Desert.
Black Desert, yeah.
I mean, my brother plays MMOs more, so he'd be
Yeah, I guess.
experienced with that. But yeah, just there's a severe lack of diversity, or not.
Yeah. We know.
We don't need the really bad word that everyone needs to hear.
It became bad. It became bad. The diversity became a bad thing, of course, because
variety of genres.
yeah, right. And again, I think people are gonna say, well, the rebuttal would be, well, indie games do these. I don't care too much about that. Why can't AAA do that? Why does it have to be indie? Why don't AAA do it? Because it won't sell as much, of course. Well, duh, it won't sell as much. And I think, yeah, like you said, there's more different games to play. And there were random games back then that I played that might have not, that would never be made today, that were fun for the time though. Like, for example, I don't know if you ever played that game, it's called Wet. It's like a Max Payne shooter like type game. But it was the gameplay was different enough to keep me playing.
Was it a Bethesda game?
Yeah, it was a Bethesda game.
Okay, yeah, I figured they made that game. They make these, like, you see these oddball games. Like, I think there's also Rogue Warrior, which was also published by Bethesda, but that wasn't received well. Just some of these oddball games, you just see them and they're like, oh, what company made this? And it was Bethesda. At least that was my experience with seeing some of these games. I mean, you don't see a lot of them, so.
And I think players now, to move it forward, I think players now, they consider games like Veilguard and I don't know, what's another trash game that came out this year, Concord, like, to be that's what they think is bad. That's what game they think is bad. And the reason I've seen some of these players think it's bad is because the mass majority think it's bad. Not that Concord's not a trash game, not that Veilguard is actually not a trash game, but because the majority of, let's say, big YouTubers think it's bad, then the players think, the gamers now or normies think it's bad now. Where when you have a game that's like Stalker 2 that came unfinished, but since a majority think it's still a good game under there, bro, so the general mass, people think, oh, there's a good game under there, it's okay, bro, it's a good game under there, just, it needs to be patched. Since the majority think it's bad, it's like that, then everybody else think it's like that, if that makes sense. So I think that's what players are picking and choosing what's bad. I think most of these games are bad. They don't, like I said of myself, not a good experience. I think these games are mostly bad, but they pick and choose which one is good and which one is bad. So the majority think, okay, this one's good, all right, then this is good. if the majority think it's bad, then this is bad. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. You know, those kind of grifters. You know, people are saying, you know, oh, this game is great. This game is shit. Like, for example, everyone was like really humping on Starfield for the pronouns shit.
Yeah, and that's not even what made it trash. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I mean, it is trash.
it is.
I don't want to see leftist propaganda in my games.
Of course.
Where was the outrage in Baldur's Gate 3?
There you go.
Where was this? Like, people, the early access didn't have this shit.
But would you say
Where was this outrage? Good people of the internet, why didn't heel versus babyface rage on that shit? Oh, you know, the context was different. You know, but the game is fucking filled with this woke shit. Even worse than you see in Starfield. Starfield is just boring shit.
yeah?
But you know, Baldur's Gate 3, the masterpiece of the century, which gets outshined by Dragon Age Origins or the old Baldur's Gate games or Planescape Torment or, you know, what's the other game? Disco Elysium. When it comes to character design, characters, you know, audio design, story, you know, those games.
Yeah.
Or companions in general.
So would you say Baldur's Gate 3 is mediocre or just complete garb?
I wouldn't see
Or trash or whatever, bad.
I wouldn't neither say garbage or trash or mediocre. I would say it is on the surface it is I would say a good game, but it got so astroturfed by people in general because they were desperate to get to own, I guess, Bethesda, and they really wanted an RPG game, like a great RPG game. So they just said, okay, this game where you have a lot of features, where you have like, 6 races with, you know, a different, so many different classes. You know, this is good. I mean, having different classes and different races is great. I mean,
Yeah, we know.
Most guys just play paladin and the human, the white human male, and then they choose whatever the goth chick.
Yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves. Most of the guys are taking this, and you know, the fucking Sven, whatever his other name is, the CEO of Larian Studios, was molding over the fact that people choose a male, heterosexual, white human character. I mean, yeah, I know, crazy. Like the majority of people playing those games are males. Like they're guys playing those games.
So then,
No, it's crazy. Wow.
so then,
What I want to say is, you know, those grifters, they're a huge problem on the platform, on YouTube in general, or on social media in general, saying like, oh, this is trash, but they do not say anything about the other game because, you know, the people are like saying, oh, greatest game ever made. You know, 50% of the people finished Act 1.
yeah.
They didn't finish Act 2 and Act 3, which
So-
are like shit. Dog.
So then, would you say then it's borderline bad because or would you just say it's just like you said, it's a good game under the surface? You did say the older Baldur's Gate outshine it, and you saying because of sound design and
Okay, sound design is not something I would say. It's the thing that.
But then why does the old Baldur's Gate outshine Baldur's Gate 3? Like from your perspective.
So this is a franchise. So
Yeah.
this is a franchise. It's the third game of a already existing game. Baldur's
Yeah.
Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2. So Baldur's Gate 3 exists and makes all the characters from the previous games look garbage. Like character-wise, for how they look and how they are written into the story of Baldur's Gate 3 because, I mean, we can have, I don't know, we need to have like a debate with guys that have like a, understanding about Baldur's Gate in
Yeah,
general.
I was just asking you like, on the surface, like just point some stuff that like generally, like generalize it, like point some stuff that are better.
Why I think it's, for example, if I compare it to Baldur's Gate and or Dragon Age Origins, you mean like that? I mean, I would say the companions, the banter between companions is so fucking weak in Baldur's Gate 3. And people keep saying, "Oh no, the companions are great, they're amazing, amazing characters." So
What about story? Would you say does it get outshined there, or?
it's a fucking snooze fest, the story. Because the game is made around the fucking romance options.
Oh.
Basically, it's a RPG made for people that have never had like sex in their life, and I want, I want this companion bad, and I want to get well, I don't want to say this word, but I want getting the P in my.
yeah. So then, is it just character? Is it just companion, or is there more?
I guess they are, those people are, just wanting. Oh, I want this relationship with this character in this game, like a deep connection or something like that.
But like, are the characters established?
Where is the, you mean like in D&D lore in general?
No, like you said the companion banter is better. I'm asking like for more. Like, is are the characters just maybe the voice acting is better, or the world building is better than Baldur's Gate 3? Like, what are the like names a few more things that you can generalize that's better?
If I think most of the time about comparing Baldur's Gate 3, it's mostly Dragon Age Origins. But if you want to talk about Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 didn't have a lot of voice acting going on. Most of the time you read the dialogue, but the dialogue was written perfectly. Like,
okay.
But also the voice acting in Dragon Age Origins and the companions are so much more interesting, and they have like, there's something witty about the dialogue. There's no wit in the voice acting of most of the what the companions are saying. I don't say the voice acting itself is the problem. I say what is written is the problem.
Okay, so writing is okay. I see. I see.
It's the big problem. But I don't want to say. I don't want to stay on this. But what I want to say is, if someone says he hates this game, and the game is considered by most people to be garbage, then of course he will say this game is garbage.
Yeah.
Because if he says like, oh yeah, Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate 3, they have huge problems, and compared to games from back in the day, they are actually really weak.
Yeah.
Like, and you will openly say, I do not recommend this game, because why would you recommend a lesser game for full price? Why would you not just go back and play the old games instead? No one says that, because they lost views, and you cannot have the algorithm be against you, because if you have like a huge like dislike ratio, oh no, the people don't see my videos anymore. This is this is why.
But I think for the average normie too, they do that themselves, despite they don't, like, they do that too. Like, they see the mass people saying Concour's garbage. Oh, all right, Concour's garbage. That's what they will say. And I think also like that's what's shaping everything. Like, for me, if you like, when I make my videos, it's because I've played, like, everything I've reviewed is because I've played an older game that I can compare it to. And I do that on purpose, because if I'm playing games in this type of time, like when I was like, I don't know, maybe like 15 or 11 or something, when I was playing games, I'm like, how can games get any better? How can we get any better? Like, I was really thinking of that. I'm like, I can't wait till like 5 years and 10 years from now where gaming is like crazy. But now I'm at the time where I am 10 years from now, game has gotten worse. So of course I will compare my experience and my good time with the older games with the newer games. Like all the things I usually review are on remakes or like a game that's already been like it's in an existing genre. So of course I'm going to compare it with old games. That's how I get my good or bad, because I've played the older games and I know how good and what's good about them. And then when I play the new one and I see that it is it has less and it does less than the old one, of course I will compare it to that old one. And that's how I get my good or bad. It's not based on everybody says it's trash, oh it's trash, or everybody says it's good, oh it's good. No, I play the game, okay, it had, especially if it is an existing genre, I will compare it with the old one. That's how I do it. And I think the average normie don't know where to go. Like if they say Velgar's trash, guys, oh my god. But then you say Stalker 2 is bad, but the majority says Stalker 2 is good, but you say Stalker 2 is bad from you playing it in your experience. All of a sudden you're wrong. No, I'm not wrong. The game doesn't even do basics correct. So of course it's gonna be good to me, and that's what I will say.
Yeah, the problem is, you know, most of the time it's because of the title of a video, which is why I think most of the people that watched or clicked on the video we both made, the Stalker 2 video, didn't watch the discussion between us. So they just said, "Oh, you know, because the first title was the."
And I watched the video.
Huge trash. I disagree.
I said
it's huge trash. I think it's really disappointing.
I said one of the worst games to come out. That's what I said.
Yeah, I think this was like that. I do not think. I mean, this year was a total shit show of shit games. You know, I wouldn't say that Stalker 2 is one of the worst games, but I would say it's, compared to its legacy, it has.
Yeah.
Really disappointing. A huge disappointment.
And yeah, okay. Then this is why I agreed with it.
They just don't want. Most people don't want to watch it. I mean, I guess because, you know, oh, they see the title and they just say, oh, you know, it's huge. It's a huge shit show. They say, you know, old, good, new, bad. That's it. No, I mean, you could say that, but we do discuss about the things what made the old game better and the new game trash, because the new game should be the improvement.
Yes.
The old game, not the other way around.
Yes.
You know?
And that's what I said about me playing games back then. I'm thinking, dude, games will get 10 times better the more years we go by.
Yeah.
They got even more mediocre, and then they got even worse. Like that's how it is.
You know, you also, I think you also know of this huge counter argument of people saying, you know, you just have nostalgia for this one game, and that's why you cannot say that this old game that you played is trash. Not true at all. That I think this is such a fallacy on itself that people cannot critically think, you know, what the game makes special. What do you want me to do though when it's in an existing genre? What game have they made that's new that I can say, okay, I'm playing it, I cannot compare it to anything else? I cannot get a game like that. So what do you want me to do when a remake come out or something, or a sequel or a reboot come out and I compare it to the old one? What do you not want me to compare with the old? It's not a new game. It's not anything new. I'm going to compare it to the old one. It doesn't make sense. I guess you need to have like I think you asked me from a creator's perspective, I guess, right? Or you mean in general, how should I view things? You know, because personally, I would say it's a really subjective subjective thing to do. Like,
Yeah.
say like, oh, this game is this and this game is that. I think I'm honest. I would do the same thing like you do, but most people do not. They
Yeah.
just want to play the newest shit, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then they do not want to be criticized for buying a game that cost them 60 or my god, $100. Like imagine playing buying a Star Wars Atlas for $100. Then yeah. Anyway, it's not a personal attack on the guy buying the game. It's more like, are you capable of to think for yourself and say, yes, I bought shit.
Yeah.
I bought mediocre slop.
That's a good point.
Did I do this? It's not a personal attack. It's about, are you man enough to say, I bought something I shouldn't have bought, and I should have checked out the people that are honest about this, like people like us, because we do not get any money out of this video that you will release. No,
make like 2 cents.
It's about being honest with yourself and honest about what we as gamers or players, whatever you want to say, think is great and what is terrible. And nowadays you have a lot of games that are considered masterpieces when in fact they are not masterpieces. They are just games that are at best
and
good, at worst really fucking boring and a waste of
and I am a gamer. You can call it autistic or whatever. I pay attention to a lot of things, especially the games that I've played throughout the years. I pay attention to that. I look at everything. And for this channel, it was more of to encourage you, because the games I review are usually things that already existed or a remake or something. This is to encourage you to go, because a lot of these normies do not play the old games at all. They don't. They only play what's given to them now. And the ones that claim they play the old ones most likely did not. They either might have heard of it or they watch a video of it and then they comment and whatever they're doing and then they play the new one. So I pay attention to a lot, and I like, because gaming is an art to me and it's something that people used to make with passion. So you cannot do the same thing now with no passion and expect me to just swallow it and just move on. I'm not going to do that. I'm not that guy. And that's because I've already played the games that had passion and had time put into it and actual creativity put into it. So you're going to see me constantly be a little bit more nitpicky due to that. And that's just how I am. I will do that. That's what I will do. I know that normie won't do that, but I will do that. And I think, yes, there's a basic way of doing things, but there's a lot of things like with these older games where they add and they make like you ever heard the term cherry on top or icing on the cake? If you ever heard these terms, they are good, but they add things that makes it 10 times better and memorable and unique, and you can remember it. Modern games, I don't know, dude. I haven't seen it. I don't know. I haven't really experienced something where I'm like, God, this will stay in the back of my head forever. Even Astrobot, a game that I praise, I said good. It's still not memorable. Like years from now, Astrobot will be forgotten. Like I don't even think I would play the game. That's but it was good for the time. Yeah, it was all right. It's good.
I mean,
but I'm not replaying it.
We shouldn't think of games, that won Game of the Year to be like masterpieces, because
no.
Games like Last of Us 2 got Game of the Year.
Yeah.
And it's one of my hated games in all time. And other games that were, really bad, like got also Game of the Year. So, but, just don't think, Game of the Year must be amazing. It's just marketing. It's just PR shit.
It's still hilarious how people still believe the Game Awards has any form of credibility.
It's a meme. It's literally a meme. It's literally a meme.
Maybe if we do another podcast, we could talk about the Game Game Awards. But
Well, I kind of wanted to segue into like hype. Like that's another thing that's about that also gamers standards are weird because they get hyped off of nothing. There's a lot of gameplay trailers out there that gamers get hyped. That doesn't make sense to me most of the time. Like I don't get the hype. There's no gameplay. There's nothing. You're not. I get it. The CGI video can make you, oh my god, that's cool. But I think because of how I am with games now, I don't care about CGI trailers anymore. And I think that's something gamers quickly to say, well, you're judging the game, you didn't even play it, but yet you're judging the game without playing it too by saying it's good, it looks crazy, oh, this is gonna be a crazy game, but you're also judging it too by not, but you never played it. So of course I'm going now with my experience, I'm going to judge it based on me not playing it either. Yeah.
Look, if you make an announcement of a game and then it's a cinematic trailer, I have no interest in your shit. Right from the get-go. If you announce a game, do not start with a cinematic trailer. Do fucking not. It's a waste of time and money.
But the thing is, the normies like that, so they will start with a cinematic trailer. They will.
I don't know. I mean, look at Elden Ring. People were really hyped for the game, and I still grant the marketing for Elden Ring was good. It was great.
Well, was there gameplay? From what I remember seeing, it was just the opening of the game. It was just, I don't remember seeing any gameplay per se, but it wasn't CGI. I think it was just the opening of the game.
They announced it with a cinematic trailer. Then
yeah, they did.
I mean, they didn't forgot about it, but they were like, okay, how does the game look? It's open world with souls. I'm so interested to see the gameplay. And then they announced it in 2021. Or didn't announce, but showed the Summer Games Fest gameplay, and everyone was like, even me, the fucking nihilist, was like, oh, amazing! I want this game.
I mean, I can't lie, I was hyped too. I think Nev was gonna say something. Hopefully, you didn't lose it.
What I was gonna say was, okay, I think I did lose it. Shit.
Yes, my yapping is something else. Sorry about that.
This was about CGI trailers and hype. Like,
oh yeah, now I remember it. So I remember when back in 2017, E3, when E3 was still a thing, I saw the trailer for Anthem, and that whole trailer, like, allegedly some of it was cinematic, but the whole, maybe it was all cinematic or maybe not. I don't know the exact.
Let's say it's all cinematic.
Yeah. The entire trailer was completely scripted and very on rails. Like, allegedly some of that was, allegedly it wasn't even gameplay, period. Like, and that's the thing that they do with a lot of these demos. They try to make them seem more cinematic, so they like slow down the gameplay and everything. Like with the Doom 2016, like the E3 demo was very slow, like because I think they just wanted to show off like the gameplay.
Yeah.
And then obviously when you actually play the game on launch, it's very fast, as Doom should be. But another thing too with cinematic trailers is that I don't know if this was like much of a big thing back then, but ever since 2019, where Cyberpunk revealed Keanu Reeves to be in the game, I think that's probably the first time where I started to sense, okay, something's not right here. Why is this game being marketed with a cameo of a Hollywood A-list actor, which, I mean, arguably Keanu Reeves isn't even that good of an actor to begin with. But yeah, at least that was the first time where I sensed, okay, maybe something here isn't right. And this was around the time where I was still like a big fan of The Witcher. But even after they showed the gameplay demo in 2018, like after launch, like CD Projekt Red said themselves that okay, yeah, the demo was completely faked, so it was on rails. It was just it. Yeah, the entire thing was faked. I mean, obviously, some of that quest made it into the game, and that was probably the only quest where there was some choice, but that's about it. Like, even yeah, it's just they were faking a lot of these demos. They're in the cinematic trailers. There's a huge there's a overuse of them. I mean, hell, all we see is cinematic trailers now. We might see gameplay trailers, but they're so over exaggerated. Like,
yes, and I think it's just to market to the main audience. I don't think it's to market to guys like us. I think it's just to get not only investors but to people that are like the mass majority of gamers now, because mass majority gamers I think like cinematic trailers. They like that hype. They like that look. I think because look at all the millions of views and thousands of views from just one cinematic trailer. Like GTA 6 doesn't have anything whatsoever to show you about the game, but my God, people are saying it's good already. Didn't even see the game yet, but it's good, guys. Like it's a lot of that comes from just, I don't know, maybe gamers just like to have that idea in their head, or make up things and imagining that, oh, this is what the game will be like, this is the game here. Well, when it comes out, you're like, oh, well, when you play it, like guys like us play, you're like, oh, well, this wasn't even that great. But people, the hype still carries even when they're playing it. It's still carrying them like, oh my God, it's still a good game despite it's a mediocre game.
well, if you compare it to back then with like Halo 2, like people were hyped.
Yeah, I'll be honest, that was a hype too.
Even as I was 4 years old, or maybe no, yeah, I was about 4 or 5 years old when I saw that on TV, and I'm like, whoa, look at all those lines. You know, this must be a pretty big thing. And you know, about a decade later, you know, I look more into like Halo 2, and after the game launched, people were very disappointed.
I do remember that.
Yeah, about the campaign, how the entire E3 demo was just it was all, I mean, obviously it was in the game, but it was scrapped. Like that level was completely scrapped from the game.
Yep.
And yeah, and the thing is, people had standards back then. It's like, hey, you marketed this in the game, but it's not in the game. And a lot of this even went as far as death threats to the developers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
That's so true.
people, you know, the consumers actually had standards. You know, they cared about the products they're getting. But now, I mean, you could basically take a dump in these people's mouths and they'll say that it's good.
I mean, look at Cyberpunk. Hello.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I could go all day about how the fan base of that game is.
And I can't wait for GTA 6 to do the same. Yeah, go ahead.
These fan bases are very blue-balled about these games. I'll just say that.
Yeah, they are. I mean, don't go to the fucking Reddit or whatever forum they are, you know, lurking around. It's just a cesspool of dicks, and you know.
Yeah.
Those kind of people that do not see anything but positivity, you know.
Yep.
It's basically like a cult, like a really idiotic cult of people that bought a game for $70 to $100 or even more. I mean, God knows how much they waste money on those kind of games, and they need to protect it because it's their. It's like if you criticize it, it's like a critique to their personality.
Yeah.
Speaking, you know, that's.
I think this could be the conclusion. I don't think I've put that impression out there, but maybe it's there. But I don't think I personally want these games to be complete garbage. People, like, I want new experiences. Like, I do. I don't want these games to be complete garbage. I would love new experiences. I would love to have that same feeling I had when I'm playing some of these old games. I would love to have that. And people would say, well, it's nostalgia that got you. No, it's new experiences that I was getting. I'm like, dang, this is good. We need more. Like, I want something more of that. So then, like, when we get to these games, I would love to have new experiences. I would love to like them. But my critic mind and my me having already been exposed to good games, yes, you could say that could run, as if I'm running it through like a filter or something. Like, this game comes out, I watch every bit of it and I try, and also, like, me being like very nitpicky could get like a game to be good. Like, what if I'm like looking at the UIs, I'm looking at the music, I'm looking at the art style, that could make a game good. Like, that can, I could add pointers, like that could be a point towards the game. But when you don't have any of that, and also your game is boring, I can't help you, because I can't add any of these little things that makes it good. Or, like I said, icing on the cake. I can't add that on there when even the basic game is boring.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It's also a huge cope if you say, modders or other people will fix this, or the devs themselves will fix it over many years. Like, this is not how it works. You shouldn't say this, because it's bollocks. You cannot just think other people will fix all the problems. That do not have the entire tool set to fix those problems. Even if they have the entire tool set of those of the engine to make a better game, it's still is not their responsibility to do this. It's the responsibility of the devs.
Yeah.
Either they make a new game, like a sequel, and iron out all the problems, or they make a patch, like a huge update to the game, which I doubt, because it costs money to do that. I'm aware of that. Or they make like an expansion pack that fixes all of this. But expansion packs are more or less a rarity nowadays. Nowadays you have like little DLCs, little expansion packs.
And I don't want. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's like, don't do that. Don't just say, oh, I wasted my money and I just hope the other people that are not responsible for this will fix this. Like, this is madness.
Yeah.
Why would you want that?
And I also don't want people to also think the older generation, like 360, was all sunshine and rainbows. Of course there were problems too there. Like, if we're being honest, 360 was the time you start noticing stuff that are becoming a problem.
Yeah, and like the horse armor from in history. So
yeah, so it had its faults, but the thing is, you had experiences, you had memories that were new memories that were added to you, like towards that genre, that and games that you still remember to this day, and you still could go back and play to this day, that again, in this time, I don't see myself having that. Like, I don't think I've had a game in the generation we're in that I want to go back and play. Maybe Elden Ring I've played a few times. I went back and played. I guess you could say there's one game that I went back to play, but that's because maybe I miss bosses and stuff like that. But still, I still replayed that game, which I guess you could say one out of like 50 games that they released that I went back and played. That's not a good ratio. So I think people should know that too. Like, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows in the 360. It had its fault. But I think it was overshadowed by the good games that were being released too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I think that's all I have, honestly, unless you guys have extra you want to say.
I mean, I would also want to say this, that I do not want bad games. I do not wish for bad games to talk about, because why would I do that? I don't want to waste money on shit. I'm really practical. I know, crazy. I pay money for something. I want a good product out of this
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
or whatever, and this, nostalgia, bait, nostalgia this, nostalgia that. It's not nostalgia. It's a fact that basically a lot of games back in the day were a lot better, and devs were more creative when it comes to.
And this is why I will compare. I will continuously strive to work on some videos to compare old games to new, because I think normies need to see it. They're just gonna say nostalgia when you say stuff like that. No, bro, it's nostalgic. No, from now on, if I'm making a video, like the videos I'm working on, I will compare and I will show you. Now you can make the decision for yourself to say, oh, well, yeah, I think this one's better anyway. That's you. But still, the evidence is there, and I will show it.
I guess they're already, most normies are getting, fed up with certain things, like the female protagonists or
Yeah.
Unreal Engine 5 or, technical issues in general, or how, devs are treating the customers like
Yeah.
idiots, basically, and
Yeah.
disrespect them all the time.
And notice,
If you have one dev that says some really stupid shit to the customers, that's already a no-go for me, and I will not buy this game.
yeah,
For fuck's sake, Overrated was a game that was interested when it got announced, and every time someone opened their mouth about the game in a shitty way, and and then they released also the gameplay and also the other woke shit in the game, and I was like, come on. Come the fuck on. Why did you do this to yourself, Obsidian?
at this point, I think you should expect this stuff, because notice only Japanese and Chinese can release something. You're like, oh, okay, well, I'm saying that loosely, of course, because I'm sure Japan has voted, and China. I don't know if China voted. I don't think they will. But
I think China's more practical when it comes to what they understand, who the audience is.
yeah.
So
Notice it has to be a game that's not made here for it to escape that type of stuff. And I don't know. I think gamers just, yeah, they're fed up with some of this stuff, but how in the world are these games still? Well, I guess maybe some of them are not. They're underselling. And some of the developers are getting fired or whatever.
Okay.
Some studios are getting
I
closed.
also wanted to point something out about China. China pushes a lot of the DEI stuff, but they themselves do not follow that rule. So of course they have a better understanding of their consumer base. I mean, just look at Black Myth Wukong and Marvel Rivals.
Yeah. True.
all those handy handy games, well, not handy games, what's the name, phone games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, mobile games.
Yeah,
But-
the mobile games.
But look at it though. Look at it though. All of these games that are like Veilguard and Concord, you have so many of them that when you release something like what's that game with that doll that you use, like a Souls, like that stupid chick that everybody's overhyped about, that's Stellar. Then you release something like Stellar Blade or Wukong, something that's not doing like that's not that the majority don't hate. Then you have a great game in your hand. Then you have a masterpiece. Then you have 10 out of 10. Then you have that when you do something like that. And it's crazy how I'm almost thinking like I have like my own speculation and theories, but I think notice that pattern though. I noticed that pattern. China gets to release something that's like like Marvel's Rivals, and then you have Overwatch 2. It's like bam. Like it's like two different, like, oh my god, Marvel Rivals is better, bro, because of that. Well, yeah, because it's, you truly hate this, DI garbage, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the thing is, that doesn't mean the game is the best thing of all time. No, I don't think so.
No, just because it does the bare minimum, again, the bare minimum, and does more than the bare minimum, doesn't mean it's like, it's a game that I would want to play over and over again. or go back to. It's
Yeah.
like the same with Space Marine 2. Oh yeah, masculine characters in general. Raw, it's space. Giga, chat would approve. Oh, big TD Asian booty, bro. Okay, come on, guys. No.
Now let's look at the base game. Let's look at the game.
How's the gameplay? How is the the story? How is the world building? Whatever, all the audio design, the voice acting.
Shoot, is it giving you some new experience? No, it's not. It's most likely the same thing, but just with coded good-looking women or something, or a masculine men. Like it's technically what it is.
Yeah.
With subtle stuff too sometimes.
It's I know this is kind of off topic, but it's a very similar parallel to dating. Like, oh, you meet the attractive chick or this attractive man if you're a woman watching this.
No, that's
not.
Yeah, they're super attractive and okay, but what are they like as a person?
Exactly.
Yes.
What's in there?
Visually, they might be pleasing to the eye. I mean, most games to me, they don't look pleasing nowadays, but they're pleasing to you. What's the rest of the game got to offer?
And the thing is, don't get me, I could get deeper, like where it gets to box art and stuff like that. I don't think any developers care. But yeah, I'm just saying these are little things I'm trying to point out that, you could add onto like gaming and stuff like that nobody really cares about. Graphics, oh my god, yes, the graphics are crazy. But then there's other things, like you said, the gameplay. There's so many small things that just nobody cares anymore, that I think enhance a game. But yeah. I think that's it though.
Yeah, because you said like the cover art, I just wanted to say this. Like another game I liked, Kingdom Come Deliverance. I liked the cover art of the game. I do not like the cover art of the second game. Like
I didn't see that yet.
Yeah, I mean, just look it up. I think there's something about the cover of the second game that makes me, think ill towards the game. I don't know. It doesn't make me, feel immersed into this world.
Yeah, still could be a good game. I think I've mentioned this before. Some of these games, they're like Kingdom Come Deliverance. Just because I don't see anything not that I'm hyped for the game, like, oh my god, it's pulling me in. But I will say, I like the first one, so I'll play the second one and see what they have to offer. Of course, if it end up they change everything, due to story, or they add their own political garbage in there, of course, because that could ruin the whole game for me. Sincerely, that could ruin the whole game for me, because the first game didn't have that. The first game had the traditional, and I think that's what really got me to play it, was that the traditional stuff. And you can say, but if I were to make a review of base game and stuff like that, of course I can go in depth into that. But the surface level thing it seemed decent, so I went for it. Now, if the second game does anything different, by that I mean change everything, that the first game had to offer, then I will have problems.
Yeah.
And of course, if they don't enhance on all the other problems that the first game had, I would point out. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just went off topic, so yeah, I think this is the case, basically.
Yeah, I think that's all I have. Have anything else?
No, I think that kind of sums everything up.